Hello combatants, and welcome to Starter Quest, a podcast looking at classic video games through the eyes of a 10th Q. Episode number 14, where we put our fists to the metal in Tekken 3. I am your host, the head of the Starter Quest Zaibatsu, Alessandro Crolla, alongside the star of this podcast, my beautiful partner, and the one more likely to hoof you in the balls, Jen Hughes.
Hello everyone!
How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. How about you?
I'm doing okay. Hopefully we record this one properly this time.
Uh-huh.
I'm halfway through editing the Age of Empires episode right now, and I had to take a break because, oh my god, I can't stand that we peaked to the audio. If you've came to this episode after Age of Empires, I am so sorry.
Yeah, it's a learning journey for all of us.
What have you been playing recently?
Now, this is actually a first for this podcast because I'm still playing Age of Empires 2.
Yes, this is unlike what we did with Pokemon, where you moved on to a more recent game. You are still playing, well, I say that, but you are technically more playing the Definitive Edition now.
Which is the more recent game.
True, but semantics aside, you are still playing Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, Definitive Edition, really enjoying it. I'm working my way up to moderate, but weirdly enough, moderate AI is a dick, and I hate him, and I'm looking forward to besting him in battle someday.
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing about this game, is that you're approaching this game in a way you've never tried to tackle a video game before.
No, I'm trying to get Steam trophies.
Yes, you actually are starting to get the bug for trophy hunting.
Yes, I understand the addiction now. There's a lot of the achievements on Steam where it's campaign-based, and I'm nowhere near ready enough to go back to the campaign after how difficult I found the Joan of Arc one. But there are quite a few that aren't, and I'm going to do my best to get as many of them as I can. But also training, the intrinsic goal of wanting to get better at each skirmish, at each game. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. Who knows when that river will run dry.
You could say that your time has been wonderful.
Yes! How about you? What have you been playing?
Speaking of trophies, I'm actually trying to decide if I want to get the platinum for Final Fantasy 16.
Right.
I've completed the game and I've got all the trophies, bar the two that require a second playthrough.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the fence right now, trying to decide if I can be arsed to get it.
I mean, you can always, leave it for a bit and then come back to it another time. Then, oh wait, no, you rent your games, so you can't really do that.
I don't know, I just want to get it done while I'm here. To come back to this game and play it on the hardest difficulty is a bit of a challenge.
That's very true. I mean, for me, I don't think I could go back and play back through a game again that I've already finished. I wouldn't replay Final Fantasy VII again. Or replay Earthbound, because I love those games, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole bunch of stuff I kind of don't want to relive. From what I've seen of Final Fantasy 16, there's a lot of very sad things to relive. I can imagine you're kind of like, do I want to go through all of that again?
A small bit, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. But at the same time, I like having platinums.
You love your platinums.
I do love my platinums.
Yes.
A game that I was previously playing, and I actually had to cut from our last What Have You Been Playing section because it was running a bit long, is that I played all through Humanity.
Oh god, that nightmare.
Yeah, I don't get this. You find this to be a liminal nightmare and quite weird, but I thought the game was beautiful and stunning.
It is, but that doesn't mean it isn't liminal and nightmarish. So you remember that Kuroshi Intelligent Cube thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's this dark grey space with nothing but the platform. Imagine that. It's like another thing with a platform, but you've got to guide hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from one end of the level to the other. If you, as a little sheepdog, don't herd them in the right direction, they will just throw themselves off a cliff. The bodies run like water. And there's so many of them. It never ends, just person after person after person after person. I'm a bit of an agoraphobe, and with my autism, I don't do well with crowds. I can't even watch those How Are They Made videos, because there's so many of those fucking Jaffa cakes and coloured pencils. There's a whole complex process of them being made. Is that so much that, I don't know, maybe I've got a weird phobia about it, but that game really sets that off. I think that there's a lot of good to it. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that I find it a bit terrifying and didn't enjoy watching you play it.
It makes me wonder how you're going to take to when we do games like Katamari.
I don't know if it'll quite play into that anywhere near as much as Humanity did. Because Humanity's also got, like, these themes about war and existentialism. And also is like the colour palette of Intelligence Cube. It's mostly grey and white with little splashes of colour. The game looks so stark and bleak, and that's what they're going for. But yeah, does not make my soul very happy at all.
Okay. But of course, why deal with the existential when we can deal with the physical with beating the shit out of each other in Tekken 3?
Get ready for the next battle.
Ha ha! Hee-yah!
Right off the bat, what type of game is this?
It's a fighting game!
Yeah, it's hard to not know that about Tekken. We've definitely laid that one in thick.
Yeah, possibly. Just a little bit.
Just so we're up to speed, what is a fighting game?
Well, a fighting game is a game where you, fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some form of combat happens in most video games, but fighting games are where the combat takes centre stage.
Yes.
Not only is the entire gameplay loop focused on fighting, but it's often what the story's all about as well. There's usually some kind of tournament where your chosen characters must win and prove themselves to be the best fighter. I think I said something along those lines in the Street Fighter Mortal Kombat Double Bill episode.
Yep.
I think I explained it okay then. Hopefully I've not completely butchered it this time.
No, I think you got it quite well.
I said in that episode that there's an arcade story mode and an actual story mode, but I think this might actually be more of a modern type thing, because we played Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat in the arcade, and the arcade mode where you climb up the leaderboard and the actual story mode are the same thing. There's no separation between the two.
Yeah. Do you think we're getting that in this game?
I think there might be a separation, but I don't remember when Tekken 3 came out.
Okay.
So it would depend on what year it was made as to whether I can say yes or no.
You've recently had a good time with fighting games, haven't you?
Yeah, I started playing Street Fighter 6. I had a lot of fun with that. Rival Smash Bros, actually, for how much I like it. You know, because of the story mode and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Street Fighter 6 gameplay loop with the created character and open world and more modern sensibilities with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fighting itself is still pretty fun. So I'm quite looking forward to playing a new fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
My fight style is basically just Chun-Li. Any character that's kinda like her, I will latch onto.
Okay.
Her style focuses on speed and agility rather than brute strength. Although her throws are really surprisingly good.
Okay, then, what do you know about Tekken, then?
Well, fuck all.
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, you've got a cookie cast of characters.
Mm-hmm.
You've hinted that a few times. And I'm assuming you pick one out of the vast ensemble and then fight the big bad or big bads and win the tournament.
Okay, is there anything special about this tournament, or is it just who's the best fighter?
I think it is who's the best fighter, or which Jellicle goes to the afterlife. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, that's really interesting. I thought you'd like to know something, because this is quite a well-known game.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, I'm assuming there's quite a lot more to the game than what I've just said, considering you've made it its own episode and not lumped it in with another fighting game like Dead or Alive.
Why do you think, then, I'm giving this its own episode?
I think because there's plenty of story and characters to get your teeth into.
So you think we're getting more characters than we got in the last fighting game?
Yeah. Isn't there, like, a lot of characters? As in, like, rival Smash Bros. For how many characters there are?
These days, yes. Always remember, we're playing with older hardware. They didn't have that level of depth.
Ah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But also, like, the fighting game franchises tend to expand the roster as they go. Which is why, I mean, Street Fighter 2 has 8 characters in total and the 3 Heavenly Kings.
4 if you include Bison.
Yeah. And Mortal Kombat only had 7.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the games have gone on, that selection has grown and grown until, I mean, Street Fighter 6 has maybe about like 14 or something, like fighting styles you can pick.
True, I would say this about modern fighting games, is that they're really bad for having a small roster on day one, but then expand it with DLC.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed Street Fighter 6, so I'll probably bring it up when I can.
So, in regards to those characters then, what ones can you name?
There's a bear.
Yes, there is a fighting bear.
A fighting bear.
What's his name?
Yogi Bear?
No.
Winnie the Pooh?
No.
It's not like Ursa Major or anything.
It's just literally the Japanese word for bear.
I don't know the Japanese word for bear. I took a basic Mandarin class in university. I didn't take Japanese.
Oh, okay, who else?
I think there might be a Japanese schoolgirl in there somewhere.
Okay.
I don't remember why. I remember them being there. I may be thinking of Sakura from the further Street Fighter games, but I remember there being one of those in there somewhere.
There is a schoolgirl, yes.
Okay, don't know her name. That's all I know.
Do you remember what she looks like in any way?
Dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
School uniform.
Technically.
Shoes. Yeah, I don't know much more than that.
Seriously, you only know 1.5. You know the bear and the schoolgirl.
They're probably... I'll get started playing the game, and I'll be like, fucking that's who! I remember now! But I don't remember right now. So, yeah, I only know the bear and the schoolgirl.
You don't know who the baddie is?
No.
Oh, God. Oh, wow.
Wait, hang on. No, the bad guy is me, the player, and has been all along. And it's a harsh critique on the effect of violence in video games on you as a human being.
No.
Oh, okay.
Wow, I thought you know the big baddie, because he's a very well-known name.
Does he just get the Japanese words for big and baddie?
Not... I would say not too far off, but... Have I seen the name Heihachi?
Vaguely familiar. Don't remember that wrestler in AEW.
No. You know what? It's very funny because he does very much look like a wrestler, just not one in AEW.
Not a Zangief from Street Fighter.
No. He does have hair that is very reminiscent of a famous wrestler.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's luscious locks.
He did actually have luscious locks before he went bald.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people had luscious locks before they went bald.
Yeah, fair point. Wow, I really thought you would know a bit more. I'm surprised you can't get away from names like Heihachi and recognize who that is.
The name sounds familiar. I might recognise some of the faces, but I don't remember any names or if they're connected to Tekken.
Just to see how your synapses fire up. That face familiar in any way?
Vaguely. I'm just wondering how Doc from Back to the Future started on steroids.
See, I always think it looks like Hulk Hogan.
So if Hulk Hogan decided to stop using peroxide hair dye and just embrace the grey.
Yes, and was only 20% less evil.
Ooh. Only 20%?
There was a lot of evil in Terry Bollea.
What?
Hulk Hogan's real name.
Oh, right, Hulk Hogan's real name. See, I thought he was just called Hulk Hogan.
No, that's not his actual fucking name.
I'm wondering, like, you know, who would name their way in Hulk Hogan?
Oh, now I have to leave that in.
It means that we can't do it for the rest of the game now. If we keep this one in, then we can't use it again for the rest of the episode.
I'm not sure any other names are going to get you as well as that, so that's probably the best we're going to get.
So Hulk Hogan is the worst name in this episode so far.
I would say the names of this game aren't as ridiculous.
Yeah, they just sound unconventional, but not like anything you'd see on a mum's Facebook group.
Yeah, because sadly Wang didn't return for this game.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't know the loss.
Do you even know who makes this game?
So, not Capcom.
No.
Because they made Street Fighter. Not Nintendo, because they made Smash Bros.
No.
Namco?
Yes.
What? I got it right.
Yes, this is Namco.
That was just a guess.
Who are Namco?
They're a company.
Do you know what game they're famous for?
Apart from Tekken.
Yeah, the one that got them famous in the first place. An old arcade game.
Pac-Man?
Yes.
Oh my god, I got it right! That was a guess!
Yes, Namco were the company behind Pac-Man.
Those were two shots in the dark. I completely forgot that Namco made Pac-Man.
Well, good on you then, because you landed perfectly on the people behind this game.
Right, okay.
Okay, why is it called Tekken?
It's named after the founding fathers of Tekkenland, Arthur Tekken.
No. If I say it's Japanese, what do you think Tekken means?
I don't know, Sandro. I have not watched enough anime to have learned Japanese.
Okay. Do you know what console we're playing on?
It's not another arcade, is it?
No. We're playing this one on a console.
Is it the PlayStation Classic?
Yes.
Right, okay.
We're back with the PlayStation.
Is it one of the ones that came with the PS1 Classic, or is it one of the ones that you've booted onto a hacked one?
This one came with the Classic.
Right, okay.
It's definitely the most defining fighting game of the PlayStation 1.
Right, okay.
There are others, but I think this is the most famous. So are you expecting anything from this game?
I'm expecting something similar to Street Fighter 2, but a bit more zany.
Zany?
There is a literal bear in the game, so I mean, I can't help but assume it's going to be a little bit more kooky and crazy than Street Fighter 2. I don't think it's quite as batshit bananas in the same way as Mortal Kombat. You know, I think it might be somewhere in between the two, but I don't know where in between the two it's going to be.
See, I have a theory about Tekken 3.
Okay.
There's about a 20% chance you're going to fucking hate this game.
Right, okay.
Especially with how you like to play Street Fighter. There's a 20% chance you're going to have an allergic reaction to this game.
But not quite in the way I had an allergic reaction to Duke Nukem.
No. I think this will be mechanically something you hate.
Yeah?
I'll then put 70% that you'll find this game fun, but it won't be your favourite fighting game. I think that's more likely what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's got to be Street Fighter 6, which is a pretty high bar.
But there's 10% of me that thinks it will.
Right.
I genuinely think this game might be your perfect fighting game.
Even without the customizable character.
I think this game has something that other fighting games don't.
Yeah.
That will gel with you so deeply with how you've played fighting games before.
Is it a lot sillier than Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Or like surreal or existentialist?
No.
Okay, right, I'm trying to guess before I've played the game, because I think there might be like a certain special magic to Tekken, especially considering we've not combined it with another fighting game. I know it's like a faff to edit and everything, but is quite a good format for different fighting games, especially if they are like not the deepest thing ever.
Yeah, but the problem is that last time I tried to do two fighting games, the episode ballooned out of control, size-wise.
Yeah, but like, I was kind of saying the same thing about both games.
Again, I think this game has something you will love.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I loved this game growing up.
Yeah?
As much as I didn't play much of Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, I played the ever-loving shite out of the Tekken series.
Yeah?
Me and my friend Oni got obsessed with these games, especially Tekken 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's just this mode you can do where you pick your favourite 8 characters and you fight against their favourite 8 characters, and we'd have a roster fight, and we just have these intense challenges against each other. Loved it. This is my favourite fighting game.
Right.
I bought a copy of Tekken 7 Complete. It's the last fighting game I've actually directly bought.
Mm-hmm. Was that what I saw you play briefly before you told me to get out the living room until you got to the PlayStation menu?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, porn's easier to explain.
Yeah, just sitting there going, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look.
Yeah.
Nobody look! Nobody look! Nobody look!
Let's discuss our code of combat with the rules of gameplay.
Ooh.
Number 1, unlike last time, we are not playing this game on a fighting stick.
Right.
We are playing this on a PlayStation pad.
Oh, yeah, the controller, right.
And it's just the way I'd say 80% of us learned how to play this game.
Right, okay.
It did have an arcade presence, but it was very well known to being almost arcade perfect on the PS1.
Really? Oh.
If we set up the shoulder buttons to make for easier button combos, then you'll find this game much easier to play than our last two fighting games on a pad.
That's good, because one of the things I really struggled with was classic controls, and what's great about Street Fighter 6 is that you can just nix those as well. Like, there's an option you can play classic, but you don't have to get through the game.
Rule 2, you need to try every one of the 23 characters in this game.
23?
Though, admittedly, 2 of them are just palette swaps of other characters.
So, like Daniel Pesina wearing 3 different colours.
Imagine if Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Reptile all had the exact same moveset.
So if Daniel Pesina had less range.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like last time, I'll be expecting a tier list.
Ooh.
About how much you liked or disliked them all. And yes, I'm including all the hidden characters, which we'll be trying to unlock in our playthrough.
Okay.
Which will go on to explain Rule 3. Unlike our previous fighting game episode, I do expect you to beat this game multiple times.
Oh, because that'll help unlock some of the hidden characters, right?
Yes.
Right, okay.
This is not a hard game, especially on the easiest difficulty setting.
Which is my default setting on everything.
You can finish a playthrough of this game in about 15 to 20 minutes, most times.
Really?
So I don't see it unreasonable to have you beat this game with most characters.
You say that, but you also said that Super Mario Bros. 3 was easy, and you were wrong about that. And yes, I still slightly hold that against you.
If there are some characters that you can't handle, you can throw the pad over to me to finish the fight with those. We're going to try and limit this to just 8 of the 23 characters.
Right, okay, so I can't throw someone at you lightly then, basically.
If you fail to beat this game with 9 or more characters, I'm giving you a quest failed at the end of the episode.
Right, even if I do really well with most of the other characters.
Yes.
That is about half.
I'm going for about 60%.
Okay, right, okay.
I wouldn't set this goal if I didn't think you can meet it.
Okay.
I'm adamant this isn't a game you're going to have a lot of trouble with, but I want to see you test yourself.
Yeah, the joy of playing video games is being able to challenge yourself on it.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you have your PS1 controller.
Yes.
And you now have a vague idea of who Heihachi is.
Yes.
Are you ready to fight Tekken 3?
I guess.
Okay, then let's get started for the next battle. Fight! Welcome back. That's us now finished with Tekken 3.
Yay!
What are your immediate thoughts on the game?
It's pretty fun, but it does get very repetitive after a while.
Yeah, I mean, complete this game 23 times will do that to you.
Yeah, I'm quite glad to not need to play any more of it.
Gameplay-wise, how did you find actually using the mechanics of the game?
The mechanics of the game are actually pretty good. There are a lot of combos for lots of different characters to memorise, but usually you can get by with just button mashing.
Yeah, which is why I thought this game might speak to you in a way that Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat didn't. Tekken encourages button mashing.
Yeah, which is something I really like about the game. You can just rely on button mashing, worst comes to worst, and you can still get by. It does its job really well, and I think if I wasn't trying to cannonball the game for a podcast, I might have enjoyed it a good bit more.
Let's just get a bit more technical and explain what the buttons do individually.
So, square is left punch, triangle is right punch, X is left kick, and circle is right kick.
Yes, it's a 4-button setup designed to be punches and kicks left and right.
Your first shoulder buttons, so the left and right you get when you're holding the controller, is for throws.
L2 was then double punch, left punch and right punch. And R2 was double kick, left kick and right kick. A lot of the bigger moves that each characters have involve those shoulder buttons.
Yeah, another way it was made an awful lot easier, because knowing to bash 2 buttons at the same time, there's a lot of combos that relied on direction and double buttons, as well as like direction and like punching the same button a few times. That sort of thing. Mix and match loads of different things.
Oh, 100%. If you aren't using a fight stick, which is a bit easier to have 2 buttons active at the same time,
Yeah.
with a controller you're only using your thumbs. But to explain the special moves a bit better, in Street Fighter where it would be like quarter circle punch, or that weird Z you had to do for the Shoryuken,
Oh yeah, fuck the Z thing.
with Tekken, you'll find a lot more of your special moves are things like back and double punch, or forward and double punch. One of the easier ones you can get some characters just have double kick, which in our hands is just the R2 button. So if your character like Forest Law, you press R2, you'll do his backflip.
Yeah. It does kind of mirror a little bit the Street Fighter 6 controls, which definitely really helped, because if it was... I found Street Fighter Mortal Kombat's like control style a bit trickier, but that's because I am more used to button mashing.
Yeah, I mean, take a character like Jin, who has a combo which is square, square, triangle. Or square, triangle, triangle will get you a different combo. Square, triangle, X will get you a combo. Square, triangle, circle. Usually just hitting buttons will get you some sort of moves that flow together.
We're throwing a lot of shapes at you, but don't worry about remembering them all, because you'll be able to feel your way through. See who you like fighting with best and just roll from there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of intuition to it. If you go a big bruiser character, they're going to be a lot slower but hit harder, whereas a lot of the more smaller characters get a lot more sharper and nimble.
Yeah.
You can also see how playing a 3D game is slightly different to playing the 2D fighting games.
It is. It's not really something you think about, but actually, yeah. There's a bit more range of movement, because on a 2D screen, your 2D character's fighting in a flat world. But with Tekken, if you're feeling spicy, you can, like, go around your opponent and, like, dodge that way.
Yeah, sidestepping.
Yeah, you can sidestep, which you can't do in a 2D game.
Yeah, so you can step into the screen or towards the screen to go around the other side of your opponent.
But I will say that the animation, because it's really early CG, it has a similar problem to Final Fantasy VII, in the sense that it's very janky and kind of ugly looking at points.
It's definitely improved from the first 2 games, I'll give it that, but we are still in the PS1, everyone looked like an inflated balloon phase of game design.
I'm sorry, Tekken 3 is an improvement on 1 and 2.
Yes.
How bad did 1 and 2 look?
So bad that it had problems with motion capturing.
Oh, well, that's something we should probably get into later. But, see, I'm hesitant to say it's bad because it looks really ugly, but I am also very aware that it's really early steps into 3D animation that's been improved on today. And without those efforts, you wouldn't get animation that looks, like, good. But, oh my god, some of these characters look really ugly.
Yeah, you haven't seen Tekken 2 Kuma yet. He is something that will make you understand that we have came somewhere in the design. So, did you prefer the sprites of Street Fighter then?
I prefer the sprites of Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, but I will say that the models in Tekken 3 take a lot more risks. I've said this quite a lot, but it is early days for 3D animation and gaming. I've kind of believed that it's trying something new. It's trying something different. I'm more inclined to be kinder to something that's taking risks and trying new things.
We'll talk a bit more of the characters in more detail later in the episode. For now, let's just talk history of Tekken 3's development.
Round 1.
By 1997, Tekken was king of the 3D fighting games.
Yeah, I like what you did there.
Namco had gambled on 3D design early, making their games a follow-up to Sega's Virtua Fighter games, led by the Shenmue guy, Yu Suzuki.
Ah, yeah, the Shenmue guy, yeah. So, Yu Suzuki led the Virtua Fighter.
Yes, and I still haven't decided if we're going to be doing an episode on Shenmue yet.
If we get enough social media engagement, then maybe we shall. I'm being silly, sorry.
Namco even poached developers away from the rival Sega to help lead Namco into the era of 3D fighting games.
So, were Namco and Sega like enemies, or were they a bit like the allies you get in Age of Empires 2?
They were both some of the earlier companies to bring 3D design to the arcade and pitched themselves against each other. Sega had the Virtua series, which include Virtua Racing, Virtua Cop, Virtua Fighter, going up against Namco, who had 3D Racing and Ridge Racer, who were doing things like Tekken to make a fighting game. So these companies were competing directly against each other.
Yeah.
One of the names that Namco had poached away from Sega was a Virtua Fighter developer named Seishi Ishii.
Okay.
He is the one who directed Tekken 1 and 2. He is a fascinating man, but unfortunately he doesn't come up much in our story. Another gamble that had paid off for Namco is that they partnered with Sony very early in their plans to enter the console market.
That makes sense though, because wasn't the PS1 like the best big boy for 3D games at the time?
Not before it had been created,
Oh?
but even before Sony had entered the market, they worked with Namco to create an arcade board that worked quite similarly to the way their future console would work.
Oh, so they were piling up even before the PlayStation 1.
Before the PS1 had officially released, they were giving them the specs so they could get their new arcade games working almost arcade perfect at home.
That's a pretty good idea.
So when the PS1 came out and Tekken released a few months after its launch, Tekken 1 then became the very first PlayStation game to sell 1 million copies.
Right.
So an early hit for the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All that happened back in 94.
Mm-hmm.
But by this point in the 90s, all the major companies had a 3D fighting game. Capcom had moved on to Street Fighter X.
Oh, right, so not like an actual mainline one.
It was called Street Fighter EX, and that was their 3D spin-off.
Ah, okay.
And Mortal Kombat had taken the main series 3D in Mortal Kombat 4.
Oh, okay.
Both these games released on PS1, and even if you added their sales combined, they would not match the sales of Tekken 2.
Really?
Tekken 2 was Sony's fighting game. If you had a PlayStation, you wanted a fighting game, the first choice was Tekken.
Yeah.
However, that lead that Namco had was at risk of crumbling, all the big companies started to catch up to them.
Mm-hmm.
That happened at the same unfortunate time that Seishi Ishii left the company. The man who directed Tekken 1 and 2 was now going off to make his own studio, Dream Factory, and direct his own fighting game, Air Guys.
Air Guys, what's that?
Not the most interesting of fighting games, apart from the fact that it was released by Squaresoft.
The Final Fantasy guys.
And they had allowed them to use Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie, Vincent, Zack, and Sephiroth as fighters in this game.
Oh, cool, yeah, because that was one of their games.
Back at Namco, they needed a new man to helm the Tekken series. That landed on Kazuhiro Harada,
Okay.
who is now the superstar of the Tekken series.
Okay.
He is the man who has led Tekken 3 to even Tekken 8, which comes out soon.
So all the interesting creative ideas were his, basically, or ascribed to him at the very least.
Yeah, he was the one who was helming the project,
Yeah, showrunner, yeah.
with Yukata Konoe on a higher level directing role above him, but it was still Harada who was calling the shots.
Right.
Thankfully, Namco hadn't lost the original Tekken producer in Hajime Nakatani, so still had a lot of familiarity with the project. I don't expect you to remember those other two names. They might come up here and there in future games, but for now, they're just basically other people who have worked on the Tekken franchise.
Mm-hmm.
With this new leadership, a few changes were planned for the next Tekken game. First, they have relied a lot more on motion capture to input move data to help the movements seem more realistic.
Yeah.
So do you know what motion capture is?
Yeah, you get live footage of someone doing the moves as a reference for animators.
Yes. They will be wearing these suits that have reference points that cameras pick up and just copy the points. And then you can put those reference points right into your game to have a video game character move exactly like a real human.
Yeah, and I mean, the characters in Tekken 3 do feel like they move like real people. The animation, just because of the limitations of it, sometimes feels like it moves quite weird and looks a bit strange, but the movement does feel organic.
100% that is down to the motion capture.
Yeah.
Namco also did away with the old system for unlocking the hidden characters, a staple of the series by this point.
Hidden characters like who?
Like Kuma and like Julia Chang, the characters who aren't unlocked from the start, they're all called hidden characters.
Ah, right, okay.
In Tekken 1 and Tekken 2, each of the original characters you start with had their own sub-boss who you unlocked with their playthrough.
Right.
For example, if you played the game with Paul Phoenix, his sub-boss was Kuma.
Right, okay.
And when you completed the game with Paul Phoenix, you didn't unlock Kuma.
Right. I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but after you've defeated the big bad in every arcade playthrough, you get a cutscene, which is like, where are they now? What did they win? Whatever. And there are some that kind of lead to dead ends and they don't seem to go anywhere or further the plot in any way. And I'm wondering whether that's been a casualty of that, where they would usually get their own boss that would be more of an antagonist for them.
No.
Really?
No, it's always been like that.
Just completely random. Who are you? Why are you here? Why should I care?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So instead, with Tekken 3, for your first time you complete the game, you unlock the same character. Second time, you unlock a different character, and you can beat the game with as many characters as you want to unlock them, including some of the hidden characters.
Right.
Previously, beating the game with hidden characters didn't unlock anything, now it does. Gameplay-wise, we have our usual more creep, more combos, more moves, etc., etc. The biggest addition to gameplay was to make sidestepping easier.
Yeah.
Previously, you needed to do a sidestep attack. Now all you need to do is double tap up or double tap down on the joypad. Put the 3D element of a 3D fighting game into proper use, you know? There was also one final decision made. This game would feature a massive time skip. They wanted this game to appeal to newcomers, and thought doing a big time jump would help reset the playing field. This game has a lot of characters who are the children of previous characters, or were trained/raised by previous characters, even a few who have taken up the mantle from fallen predecessors. Only 6 characters were the same people who fought in Tekken 2.
Right.
And 5 of them since Tekken 1.
Yeah, I mean, make a clean slate so it's not as confusing for new players. I hate to say this, but that didn't work. It really didn't work, but we'll get into that later.
This also allowed them to tidy up the roster, especially some of those sub-bosses, which are just the original characters with a few extra moves.
Oh, okay. So like evil twin type things.
Kind of, yeah. This shrank the roster from 23 in Tekken 2 to just 21, if we exclude the characters who are just reskins of other characters.
Yeah, like, they are different characters, but not really, to be honest.
Namco released Tekken 3 in arcades in 20th of March 1997. It then would make it to consoles until the 26th of March 1998. While Tekken 1 was the first PlayStation game to sell 1 million copies over its lifetime, Tekken 3 managed to sell 1 million copies on its launch day.
On its launch day, wow.
Yeah, the series is huge now. The name Tekken comes from the term Iron Fist. Tekken.
Ah.
Hence why, in the game, it is known as the King of the Iron Fist Tournament, the King of the Tekken.
Ah, right.
I wonder if you knew the term King of the Iron Fist. That would be the only clue.
Don't know much Japanese at all. The only Japanese words are ones that are food related. And even then, it is because we eat a lot of Japanese food. I wouldn't know them otherwise.
Very interestingly, they were considering renaming the game outside of the West to Rave Wars.
That's a terrible name.
I know, but it does kind of go to show what they were going for in its music. This is the mid-90s. Rave culture is huge, and they wanted music which plugged into that.
Yeah, the music's great. It's not rave music, though.
Yes, they didn't go full happy hardcore with it.
The character music would sound pretty good as happy hardcore remixes of themselves. But I'm biased. I really like that kind of music.
No, they went for more, I think it's called big beat music.
Right.
Think more Prodigy stroke Chemical Brothers. Hard rock guitars, hard hitting beats. That's kind of more what it's going for.
Yeah, as we're talking about the characters, hopefully we can have like bits of the character music thrown in. you'll be able to see where we're coming from.
Right now I'm using the music from the opening cutscene.
Yeah.
You're going to hear a lot more of the hard beats that go into it, the quite steady drumming and bass lines that help fuel the whole thing through. Then building on top of it with different synthesized sounds to give it such a movement, especially with the opening cutscene which is showing these small flashes of all these different characters. It does go a long way to sell the excitement of the experience to come.
But I think I'm quite glad they didn't rename it to that, because, you know, it's not centered around music or anything like that, so calling it Rave Wars would be very misleading, actually.
Yeah, it would have been. I'm glad they stuck with Tekken. Even being foreign, the name Tekken has a lot more appeal than just Rave Wars.
Because it also makes sure that people know that, well, it's got ties to Japan.
I understand the worry. We think contemporarily, it's going up against Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Virtua Fighter, Tekken. It's the only foreign name in there.
That helps it stand out.
True, if it does, definitely. But I understand why they may have considered otherwise.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't follow through in that, because Rave Wars is not a good name for a video game.
It's not. Sound design was managed by Etsuo Ishii, and it's mostly just good Foley work.
Yeah.
You're going to see a few videos on YouTube who dub fight scenes using the sound effects from this game, because they just work that well for that type of noise. Your punches and your kicks land with a good, satisfying thud.
They actually don't sound all that out of place. Like, a bit echoey and a bit tinny and a bit crushed, but that's just like part of the limitations of the time with video games, and also adds to the aesthetic of the game. My favourite sound effect in the whole game is the chicken one, which you get all the health items in one of the other game modes is a big chicken, and every time you run into it and eat it, it says
Chicken.
And I just had a good old chuckle at that. That was the building of the Tekken games for me.
Yeah, that's the announcer who does have this proper great voice. I'll be using it through the episode.
Chicken! Top notch, iconic, love it.
Very briefly, when it comes to sound design, the director, Harada, has been involved in the project since Tekken 1, and he was the one who made the sound effects for Yoshimitsu and Law. We have two of the most kind of more iconic sounds in the game.
Yeah, Law sounds like... Yeah, he makes this strange elephant noise.
Yeah, it's kind of like this vacuum cleaner kind of noise.
Yeah.
It's going for more of the noise that Bruce Lee would make in a fight scene.
You didn't know Bruce Lee sounded like an elephant?
Whereas Yoshimitsu, I do love, because he actively says ow when he's hit.
Yeah, Alien Sword Boy.
We'll talk about them a bit more
Yes.
as we go through our playthrough, which is really just going to be us talking about the characters of this game.
Yeah, there are other game modes, but there's not huge amounts to say about them.
The plot to Tekken 3 is something I'm both very familiar with and also incredibly aware is completely fucking bonkers.
So I did not know what was going on in the whole game, why people were there, why some characters looked the way they did, what was the goal of the game, what was the goal of the characters. A lot of them didn't feel like they'd much personality because I did not know any context for them at all.
I did keep this secret from you as you played. This is when you're finally going to get that context.
Right, okay.
I was just going to go through a reduced version of the history from the first two games and talk about the two main characters of those games, Heihachi Mishima and Kazuya Mishima.
Right.
Heihachi is the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, an old financial company that, to put simply, does general evil things.
The Evil McEvil and Sons.
Private military corp, takeovers, fighting tournaments, probably managed Woodstock 99, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Have more money than sense and only want to do bad things with it.
Yes.
Okay, that makes one thing that I thought of make sense, but go on.
Heihachi is also the world's best martial artist, master of the Mishima karate fighting style.
Of course he'd name the karate fighting style after himself.
Why wouldn't he? I mean, makes sense. I'm pretty sure Jeff Bezos is a former UFC fighter.
Yeah, the Bezos style that involves underpaying your workers and raking in all the money that should go to them and their bonuses.
Kazuya, who was the son of Heihachi, was trained in his father's fighting style since he was a boy, and was considered too weak by his father. So Dad made the logical choice of throwing his son off a cliff.
Father of the Year every year since 1997.
To any listeners who have played Tekken 7, I know, but I have to explain this somehow. Give me a break. Surprisingly, Kazuya survived, though with scars from his ordeal. He grew up quick and he grew up mean, fists got hard and his fists got keen, and he vowed revenge on Heihachi like he named him Sue.
Right.
Revenge came when Heihachi announced the first King of the Iron Fist tournament, aka Tekken 1.
So it was him that set up the King of the Iron Fist tournament?
Yes, that is Heihachi's doing.
I thought so, yeah.
Whoever wins the tournament was going to fight Heihachi in the finals, which Kazuya does. Kazuya wins, and then finally defeats his father. So Son made the logical choice of throwing his dad off a cliff.
Oh, because I had a theory, and I don't know if I should say this right now, right? But my theory after, playing all the characters and having a think was the prize of winning the Iron Fist tournament is what your heart desires, like your choice of prize. So, like, one character wins a big gold trophy with Heihachi's head on it, and one character wins rescuing her mother, one wins science things, and clearly Kazuya's heart's desire was to throw his father off a cliff. So that's what he won in the tournament.
No, he just beat the shit out of his dad and then yeeted it off a cliff.
Ah, so it wasn't a part of the winning condition that's what he got to win.
The winner gets to throw Heihachi off a cliff. No. Surprisingly, Heihachi survived, though with scars from his ordeal, who trained in the mountains with his pet bear Kuma. We'll get to him later.
Oh yeah, Kuma, I like him. He's a good bear.
With Heihachi presumed dead, Kazuya took over the Zaibatsu and does the family business proud by continuing to do evil things.
Wait, so he follows in his father's footsteps despite throwing him off a cliff?
Oh yeah, Kazuya isn't a good person. He is also evil.
So it was a bit not like a righteous, I will overcome my trauma by being a hero and getting rid of this bad fighty man. It was, long live the king!
No, Kazuya's just as evil as his dad.
Right. I mean, you would be if you get yeeted off a cliff by your own dad.
So when Kazuya then announced the King of the Iron Fist Tournament 2, aka Tekken 2, Heihachi is now in the role of protagonist to oust his son.
Wait, but how can he be made likeable considering what he did?
Because he is not as bad as his son. He's the lesser of two evils.
So really, Heihachi was doing the right thing by trying to kill his own son. That's what they go with Tekken 2. That's the justification that they have for doing such a terrible thing to a child. Okay, cool. Good, we'll move on.
Heihachi won the tournament, defeats Kazuya in both his human form and his strange devil form, where he sprouts wings and fires a frickin' laser beam from his forehead.
That sounds familiar.
And reconquers the Zaibatsu. At this point, Heihachi recognizes the endless cycle he and Kazuya were locked in, defeating each other, throwing them off a cliff, only for them to come back with resentment and reclaim them. It was a cycle that he needed to break. So, on this occasion, Father Heihachi picked up his son Kazuya, held him close in his arms, carried him off the battlefield, and then chucked Kazuya's unconscious arse into an active volcano.
See, as someone who has also played as Heihachi, he's one of the hidden characters that we play. This is sounding very familiar.
Kazuya will not be appearing in this game.
I mean, that would happen. He's literally in a volcano. How is he supposed to come back after being thrown into a fucking volcano?
Yeah, it would be ridiculous for Kazuya to come back in Tekken 4.
Yeah, that would be really silly, wouldn't it? Especially considering my headcanon for what Tekken 4 is, but I'll get to that later.
With Heihachi back in control of the Zaibatsu, it has now been 15 years since the last tournament. Heihachi is surprised when a boy shows up at his offices, claiming to need his help and that he is Heihachi's grandson. This boy is Jin Kazama.
Ah, yeah, Mr. Attack Eyebrows.
The son of Kazuya Mishima and of Jun Kazama, who's another fighter from Tekken 2 who didn't return in this game.
Yeah, he goes by his mother's maiden name.
He never knew his dad growing up.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jin tells Heihachi that Jun raised him alone since his father was gone. their peaceful life disturbed when they were attacked by a giant green monster called Ogre.
Ogres have layers.
Yeah, I can't take Ogre seriously. I just can't get Shrek out of my mind.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Ogre was seemingly looking for Jin, but Jin managed to escape thanks to his mother fighting Ogre, sadly losing her life in the process.
Right, I get absolutely none of this when I was playing the game.
Jin swore revenge on Ogre and has turned to his long-estranged grandfather to help.
But if he never knew his father, how did he know his grandfather?
Jun told Jin, if anything ever happens to her, go find your grandfather, Heihachi Mishima.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
It just so happens that Heihachi was looking for Ogre also, as Ogre is considered the fighting god, and is more than happy to train his grandson in the Mishima karate fighting style, and to arrange the King of the Iron Fist Tournament 3 as a ploy to lure Ogre out of hiding.
Right, okay.
With all that stage set, Tekken 3 is ready to begin.
So I got absolutely none of that while playing the game. That did not turn up at all. Did not know who his mum was. Didn't know, like, what the relationship was supposed to be. Didn't even know why Ogre was there, to be quite honest. Now I know, things are making a little bit more sense.
There is that one intro where you see two characters, you're like, who are those two? That was Kazuya Mishima and Jin Kazama.
Right, I was never to know who they were. They were just random people who were there for no reason. Like, I thought that, you know, for all I knew, they were paired together as a group of vocalists in the X Factor or something. Like, there was no context. They were just there.
What's even weird about this is that you would have played Tekken 2 and shipped Jun and Kazuya. The two have no connection.
They've got, like, no chemistry at all. And I do have a penchant for shipping people, as you'll hear in other episodes. But would not have put them two together.
No one would have in Tekken 2. So very surprised for all of us. I was like, oh yeah, those two had a kid. Really? Those two?
Oh, I think it might have been like one of those things where it was like, you know, they were all drunk a night out and, you know, one thing led to another and they were fooling around and then child happened.
Yeah. Kazuya said he was the king of the Iron Fist. She heard him wrong. One thing led to another. With that being said, and we're going to go through the characters, let's just start off with the main character of the game.
Jin Kazama.
Each character has a biography I'd like to read. Some are in the instruction manual, but for the complete set, I got them from the Prima Strategy Guide. That was why I bought this book, just so I can get the bonus characters also. So, age, 19. Nationality, Japanese. Occupation, martial artist. Fighting style, advanced Mishima Karate and Kazama style self-defense.
That sounds like he's picked his degree.
Hobby, walks in the forest. Likes, mother's teachings. Dislikes, deception.
Wow, what a fucking weirdo. Dislikes deception. Oh man, look at me. I'm so unique. I dislike deception and I like walks in the forest. Like, walks in the forest, like, that's something you put in your Tinder profile if you can't think of any other hobbies you've got.
Yeah, it does sound like a really generic dating profile.
All his personalities and his eyebrows. And also the weird curse that he has. I swear they only gave that to him to make him an interesting character. He has no personality.
I'm also going to invite you to describe all the characters as they come up.
Okay, right. So he's like topless with these wee fighting joggies and they've got flames up one side of the leg. Red Nintendo Power Glove fighting pads. As I said, Jin has very interesting eyebrows. Very thick, luscious, like Wolverine's sideburns. Dark hair, kind of spiky with these weird bang things that go over his face, which he should probably slick back. These video game characters are known for having bad hairstyles right across the board.
Yeah, he looks like Phoenix Wright if you close his hair at the back.
Yeah, and also gave him a lot less personality. He's very, very dull. He was one of the ones I got to, like, last. Nothing jumped out at me, to be honest.
He does have the role of being the game's protagonist.
Yeah, the Ryu of Tekken. Also, I'm looking at the book and it's wild that they've got blood type in their physical stats.
Yeah, I've left that out of my introduction.
Yeah, I know that there's a whole, like, what your personality is based on your blood type thing in Japan, as far as I've heard. A bit like saying that he's like a Virgo or something like that. They forgot to put in his star sign.
Right. A lot of Jin's backstory I've just told you, so let me just fill in a few blanks. Raised by his mother, dead died, as you've said. Didn't know who his dad was until Ogre came to his front door and killed June when Jin was 15. Ever since his mum died and he fled their home to find Heihachi, Heihachi has been personally raising and training him, seeing more promise in his grandson than he did his actual son. Ah, typical fucking grandparents. Spoiling the grandways better than they ever did the actual children. He's also sent Jin to Heihachi's high school that he owns.
The high school? Which high school's that? Is that the Polytechnic?
The Mishima Polytechnical School.
So it's not a college, it's a high school.
Yes. That Jin attends along with another character, Ling Xiaoyu.
Ah, right, okay. And Panda.
Jin is our first example of one of these characters who's the successor of previous characters. He has some of Kazuya's moves and some of Jun's moves in his own arsenal.
It really does strike me as one of those, only naughty's kids will know this reference. All the terrible direct-to-VHS sequels to Disney films have all like the, oh yes, son of this person versus son of that person. Like The Lion King 2, where Scar has a son for some reason. Son of Scar falling in love with daughter of Simba. I get those vibes from Tekken 3 so far.
Oh, that's like first cousins. That's weird.
I know it's really weird, but I mean, that's not exactly new for royal families, Sandro.
True, very true.
I mean, as much as, you know, having a go at Jin for being the most ready salted flavoured crisps character I've probably seen in a lot of games, he's actually quite fun to play. He's got a mixture of different movesets, so he's not like overly punchy and slow or overly kicky, just in the middle. So it all kind of fits together. Not my favourite to play, but fun, perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of these characters who you can just usually mash different buttons and you'll find a combo with him.
Yeah.
One of his big moves, though, he inherited from his dad, is a lightning punch. You didn't use it much because it involves pressing square and circle at the same time.
And has a charge to it.
Yeah, he kind of like corkscrews in place and spin, uppercut and just knocks people flying.
Oh, yeah, like the Shuriken.
Kind of, yeah.
Some characters have a really strong punch, but they need time to like charge up, so they're a lot slower. You're in the middle of charging up your punch, and your opponent can just like bop you in the nose. Then you can't do it anymore. You have to restart it.
But yeah, that's about as far as we're going to talk about these characters. There's no point going through all their moves.
Yeah. If there's something that stands out, then we'll mention it. But even then, it's quite fun being able to find some of these out for yourself. Okay,
now, as you said, you only played him a lot later through our playthrough. But I want to go back to our very first night. After you trying this game and just trying a few buttons for yourself, I put you on with a character I knew you could beat this game using your currently minimal skills. So from starting this game, you had got your very first completion within 15 minutes using
Eddy Gordo.
More like already Bordeaux.
Didn't like him then?
No, actually it was fine. I just like thought of a wordplay thing there and I wanted to show it off a little bit because I have no life.
Age, 27. Nationality, Brazilian. Occupation, none.
None? Really?
Yeah, he's a nun.
No. I'm surprised he doesn't have an occupation, but go on.
Fighting style, capoeira. Hobby, leadership training. Likes, power. Dislikes, weakness. So you're so shit.
That's bad. That's worse than Jin's. Sorry, hobbies? Leadership training?
Yep, he loves learning how to be a leader.
What a fucking dweeb. Likes power, which... Oh my god, is he a dom? Like, I mean, dom's like a submissive, so surely a little bit of weakness, you know, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Right, describe Eddy for us.
He's got these, like, braids that he's, like, tied up in, like, a little ponytail.
Dreadlocks, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought they looked like braids to me, like, in the gameplay. every time I ended up picking him, he wore this, like, fitness gear.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like he was, like, going to Zumba or spin class, which is why it surprised me that that wasn't on his hobbies list. I was also quite surprised that he doesn't have an occupation. I think that's a lie.
Well, the reason why he doesn't have an occupation is because he's just got out of prison.
Ah.
Well, to be more exact, he's broken out of prison.
Oh.
Eddy was born to one of the richest families in Brazil, coasting through life with a silver spoon in his mouth. Until one day when he was 19, he came home to find his dad had been murdered.
God, more dead dads.
His dad was trying to expose the drug cartels, and he got murdered for it. With his dying breath, he told Eddy to admit to the murder so he would be safe in prison.
Safe in prison?
Because, drug cartels have absolutely zero access to anyone in prison.
Yeah, they've got no influence in prisons at all. Like that. What are you talking about?
It's not like drug cartels do anything which might land them in prison. Like, I don't know, for example, fucking murder.
I'm actually quite shocked that a man who's been investigating drug cartels and wanted to stop it would have such a stupid idea. Like, does it just come with being rich, being, like, sheltered and making terrible decisions?
Only poor people go to jail.
Yeah, my son's gonna get a cushy, nice cell, it's fine, just stay in prison. You don't need a job, you're in a family with money.
Still, fact is, he goes into jail so he can hide, learns capoeira while he's in jail, and is now outside 8 years later. In fact, if you remember the intro of the game, you get to see his jailbreak.
There was so much that happened in that introductory cutscene that it was all a blur. I don't remember anything that happened. Almost.
He's joined the tournament so he could use the prize money to buy the Mishima Zaibatsu's help in finding his revenge.
Wait, of course there's money.
That's how everyone gets their wish, is that they buy it.
Ah, right, because I thought it was just like, the win condition that Heihachi's like Santa Claus. And he's like, so child, what do you want for Christmas?
Just pulls a calypso. Eddy has a reputation in this game for being the easiest, cheapest fighter to learn.
Which checks out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's really funny that he's considered the cheapest character to play, considering how expensive a family he lives in.
But it's his capoeira style. He moves around so quickly that it's just very easy just to mash circle and X buttons, and he'll just do this mad dance that'll knock off everyone's health.
Yeah, like, I was quite... Because I know nothing about martial arts, it kind of looked like he was doing like a wee dance. It's like, oh no, it's the martial art, that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, okay, cool. So again, surprised that his hobby is just leadership training when he could be fitness guy or doing dancing and martial arts. And also, he's had like that long a time in jail with like, a whole bunch of different perspectives. There's chance for you to reflect on what you've done and everything, right? And he comes out the other side of such an experience and he's like, I like more than anything else that I can turn my hand to is someone who has infinite resources to try any number of hobbies I want, leadership training.
And you know what? As much as I hate the drug cartels for Kill My Dad, what I really dislike is weakness.
Yeah.
They're bad, but you know what? I can deal with them. Drug cartels are just a fact of life. Weakness, though, that could fuck itself.
His dislikes would be drugs. God, these people put no thought into those bloody fact files at all.
So yeah, within 20 minutes, we'd beaten the game with this one character. Now, when you play the game, if you beat the game 16 times, you unlock a secret third outfit for Eddy, where he becomes the disco dancer named Tiger.
Who is apparently a different character.
He's got the exact same moves as Eddy, he just is a disco dancer with a giant afro.
Right.
I don't want to go too much into him, but he does get given his own ending, so we does have to complete the game with him.
Hang on. Is Tiger like Eddy Gordo's alter ego? His disco dancing alter ego?
See, I thought that when I first played the game as well, but no, they are separate characters.
I thought they were separate characters as well, right? So, okay, right, they are separate characters after all.
Yes, in the more recent games, Eddy and Tiger have been separated into two characters.
Right, okay.
And Tiger has more his own style. I didn't have anything set up for Tiger, just that he is another character in this game, and you did complete the game with him. Actually, he was the last character you completed the game with.
Yeah, it was a nice full circle thing, where I started the game with Eddy Gordo, and ended the game with Eddy Gordo.
Yeah, in the form of Tiger.
Yeah.
There's another easy character to pick up on day one. So easy that my mate Oni tormented me with him for fucking years. His name is...
Forest Law.
The elephant noise man.
Age 25. Nationality American. Occupation second dojo master and possibly a cook, both in his father's businesses. Fighting style martial arts.
So all of them. All of the martial arts.
I'd shit you not, that's what's in the instruction manual, even though he's clearly using Jeet Kune Do.
What's Jeet Kune Do again?
Bruce Lee's style.
Oh, right, okay, sorry, I didn't know its name.
I also point out Martial Arts was both Forest Law's fighting style and it was Jin Kazama's job.
And also, isn't his dad called Marshall?
Yeah, yes, his dad is called Marshall, we'll come back to him. Hobby, shopping.
Huh?
Likes, credit cards.
I would not have pinned him to have the same hobbies as Paris Hilton.
Dislikes, riding on the back of Paul Phoenix's motorcycle.
Oh yeah, of course, Paul Phoenix has got a motorbike.
We'll talk about that more when we get to Paul.
Well, that certainly does add layers to his character. Didn't see that coming. But the thing is, it's so vague. Like, what does he like shopping for? Like, does he like shopping for, like, clothes? Or does he like shopping for, like, fancy cooking equipment and special ingredients you don't really get in the supermarkets? He's the game's Bruce Lee. Bruce B, if you will.
Yes, because every fighting guy needs a Bruce Lee.
I am running out of ways to rearrange his name. I'll think of other ones by the time we get to the next fighting game. Like, he's fine. I think he's another one that, like, does, like, this dance as he's, like, moving about. That's him, isn't it?
Not with as much dancing as Eddy Gordo, but he does jig his arms up and down when he's moving.
Yeah, he, like, actually has a bit of a rave to himself.
Mhm.
You know, living up to the Rave Wars name of the game.
Again, is that more Jeet Kune Do where he's always fainting by always bouncing off from
Yeah,
one foot to the
yeah,
other?
always staying in the move, so it's harder to be hit. Yeah, I get it. So he has a dojo and a restaurant?
His dad has a dojo in his restaurant. His dad is martial law. He was in Tekken's 1 and 2.
Right, okay. So he's another one who's come from a quite well-off family, I assume.
Not
If you own a dojo and a restaurant, they must have some capital.
kind of the opposite, actually.
Really? Oh, is it in one building?
Yes, they have a dojo and a restaurant because neither makes enough money alone.
Ah, right. Oh, that's a proper Kitchen Nightmares episode right there. And Gordon Ramsay's like, the dojo and the restaurant, the ideas just do not match. My food's fucking good. How dare Gordon say bad things about the food on a show called Kitchen Nightmares?
I'd love to see what martial law does when he says the food is bad. He would put Gordon Ramsay right in the balls, like he deserves.
Yeah, that would be an interesting episode, wouldn't it?
Now, unlike Jin, though, Forrest's parents are very much still alive.
Right.
Marshall had forbade his son from entering prize fighting tournaments, not wanting his son to be beat like the times he was in Tekken's 1 and 2. Though admittedly it was through those tournaments that Marshall made friends with Paul Phoenix. In one of Paul's visits to the dojo while Marshall was overseeing the restaurant, Paul told Forrest Law about the Tekken 3 tournament, which Forrest enters behind his dad's back.
So like a fuck you, dad, I'll enter the tournament if I want.
Yes. As you said earlier, Forrest and his dad before him both met our government-mandated quota of every good fighting game needing a Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the Bruce Lee comparison is a bit extra in this game. He even gave him the yellow jumpsuit.
Oh yeah, one of the costumes that he gets is one of those ones, yeah.
Right. The first move I taught you was a move I affectionately call the Oni Special. Hitting the double kick button twice, so R2, will cause Law to do a double backflip.
Mm-hmm.
This move is the bedrock to Law's moves, as it covers great space and is Eddy Gordo levels of bullshit move.
Mm-hmm.
My friend used to spam this move like it was the only move that Law has.
I mean, he's got other moves, it's just that one is particularly fun to do.
Yeah, he's got some incredible punch combos
Yeah?
and some great kicks, kind of like Circle X Circle does this kind of like triple kick.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool moves, but he used to only use this, and part of learning to get better at this game was just to beat those fucking flips of Law.
I fought the law and the Law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Usually, yes. That backflip is just something I'll forever associate with the law office.
Hey.
Time to cover our first female fighter of the game, Tekken being leagues above Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, but having more than one girl, even back in Tekken 1.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with
Nina Williams.
and this gets a bit weird, so bear with me. Age, 22. Nationality, Irish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Occupation, assassin. Fighting style, bone martial arts and aikido. Hobby, retracing memories. Likes, can't remember. Dislikes, can't remember.
Yeah, there is like a whole thing about like her restoring her memories.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like a forgotten member of Bewitched.
Yeah, she's got quite a traditionally cutesy look to her.
Yeah, she's got like blonde hair and somehow, despite having forgotten everything, knows how to walk in heels and how to fight.
There's some things a lady never forgets, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, really likes retracing her memories.
Yeah. She does come to this game with amnesia. Also, very interestingly, she is a returning character from Tekken 1 and 2,
Ah.
despite the fact she's only 22 years old.
And she's like forgotten everything that happened in the past two games. A bit like how the developers of the game were hoping that people would just forget the past two games.
Nina has been cryogenically frozen since Tekken's 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, because like one of the things I remember from the opening cutscene is her coming out of like a thing of water and opening her eyes. And yeah, that's probably her defrosting.
Nina was cryogenically frozen after Tekken 2, done so by Kazuya so he could do experiments on her.
So hang on. There's a Dr. B who keeps turning up. Is he tied in with Kazuya?
No. There is another doctor in this game called Dr. Abel. He's the one who cryogenically froze Nina Williams, I think.
I'm very surprised she liked retracing her memories, considering her ending. But yeah, she's just forgotten all the other interesting things that her character could be. So, I mean, that's convenient that she's got fuck all in her fact file.
Yeah, she doesn't remember her likes or dislikes. All she knows is that she's very tasty in a fight, and she has an urge to kill Kazuya.
She also can kick people in the balls, which
Yes.
is quite funny. I liked playing as her because she was fast.
Yeah, I always find her fight style to be a bit plain.
It is a bit plain, but she was like once among the first characters I was playing. I spammed L2 to like punch fast, so that's why I beat Ogre pretty handily with her.
Mm-hmm.
I also had fun experimenting in who could be knocked over by the ball kick.
Mm-hmm.
That was hilarious.
Or the cunt pun if you're fighting a girl.
The cunt punt, oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of Nina. She's not my woman of choice in this game.
Yeah, she's not the most interesting of characters.
No.
If you actually knew fully that, like, she's trying to remember who she is again, there'd be a bit of intrigue there. But the problem is that there's so much context missing in the actual game that it's kind of hard to latch on to her.
Yeah, so let's just move on from there. And on to one of my personal favourites from this game.
Hwoarang.
Age, 19. Nationality, South Korean. Occupation, street punk.
Street punk?
Yeah, I think he's on loans in the Street Fighter universe next door. Fighting style, taekwondo. Hobby, sailing. Likes, yachting. The fucking street punk.
Ah, yes, the street punk who's been on a yacht. He yachts on the regular.
Yacht life born, yacht life bred.
Having said that, when I was younger, I went on a sailing trip for this thing called the John Muir Award, and there were a few people on that who were not from like the most well-off of families. So, he might have gone on one of those ones.
Possibly.
Wouldn't have pinned him as a sailor, though. It's not Shendu.
Dislikes, Mishima style karate, and Jin Kazama.
Oh yeah, because they're rivals.
Yes, this is supposed to be like Jin's rival in this game.
So he's got kind of straight ginger hair, maybe dyed. It kind of has that sheen to it, that kind of look.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like bleached.
Yeah, and he's got a headband, and he's another one of these kind of topless fellows, and he's got his wee joggies on as well, and bare feet.
I'd say he's one of the few characters who's more iconic for his second outfit, which has him dressed more like a biker.
Oh yeah, that is a bit more street punk type thing.
Yeah, but he's got this purple vest on and his leather chaps.
Yeah.
So it's the one he's wearing in his actual closing cutscene.
Let's face it, Jin is as straight as and has the personality of a plank of wood with Justin Bieber's face on it.
Yeah, they don't do much with this rivalry. It's not a major plot point. It just gives Hwoarang a bit of backstory.
Yeah, which is a shame. I would have quite liked to see more done with him, to be honest. He was one of the more interesting characters in the roster. He's very kicky. Like, I thought he was a kickboxer, but that's because I know so little about martial arts that I was getting his fighting styles mixed up. In any case, it was very fun to watch Hwoarang kick the old man to death. Kick the enemy to death!
So, Hwoarang was trained by Baek Do-san, who was in Tekken 2.
Right.
He sadly used his abilities to get into street fights, hoping to get the attention of N. Bison, I assume.
Notice me, daddy.
Instead, though, he gets into a scrap with the Mishima Zaibatsu, namely with Jin. The two fought, and it ended in a
double KO.
It was a draw, marking Hwoarang's perfect win record in fights. He now wants to settle the score in the tournament.
Ah, right, so that's his desire then.
Yes, he just wants to fight Jin Kazama. Hence why when he wins, and his ending cutscene, he's holding the trophy, he's about to throw it in the water. He didn't give a shit about winning the tournament. He was just there to fight Jin.
Ah, right, okay.
I don't know if it's physically in the game, but I think the storyline-wise, Hwoarang never fought Jin in Tekken 3.
See, my headcanon was that Hwoarang was the only person who asked for a trophy.
Yeah, I've got to say, that trophy we're talking about, though, it is just a giant statue of Heihachi's head.
Right, because he's the only one that actually got a trophy.
Everyone gets a trophy. He's the only one who shows it in his ending.
You can get the money from the fighting tournament, but you could also get the money from melting Heihachi's head for gold.
On to the next fighter. And since this is the king of the Iron Fist tournament, it's time we play the real one himself with
Chang.
Age 28. Nationality Mexican. Occupation professional wrestler and manages an orphanage.
He manages an orphanage?
Fighting style professional wrestling. Hobby pleasing children.
Oh, that sounds a bit...
Likes celebrating victory with Armor King. Dislikes children's tears.
Those words, pleasing children, have not got great connotations.
In a way that doesn't make children cry, it's fine.
I think he's a luchador wrestler because he's got like one of those masks.
Yes, what is his mask?
It should be like more of a cloth mask, but actually he's got like a taxidermied leopard's head for a mask.
Yes.
I don't understand that. I mean, that really would make children cry. It made me cry and I'm not a child.
Now that is a mask, right?
It doesn't look like a mask.
It is a mask, but there's a very weird thing about King. Tekken has always done this really good thing. Everyone speaks in their native tongue, especially in Tekken 7, which has a lot more cutscenes. Japanese characters speak Japanese, American characters speak English, the German character speaks German, the Italian character speaks Italian. When King speaks, it's in leopard roars. And I don't know why that is.
Because he's not actually a human, he is a leopard man pretending to be a human.
But he's definitely a human, because this is not the same King from Tekken 1 and 2. The first King died at the hands of Ogre. He's taken up the mantle as one of the kids that the first King raised in the orphanage.
So he's wearing his dead mentor's head?
Yes.
Right. There's nothing about orphanages or his good deeds towards looking after children. There's no indication of that anywhere in his ending.
I know, it's not in the gameplay at all. King's ending in the first game was quite interesting because it actually had green screen children all running out to greet King as he comes back to the orphanage. One of the kids that ran up to him in that ending was canonically King II.
King 2. King 2 Furious.
Yes. 2 King Kamen.
So, he is one of the characters that I wondered, like, why are you here? Why is he here? Please tell me.
He is here to avenge his dead mentor.
Okay.
The first King was killed by Ogre. You're going to find a lot of characters who are not in this game, but Ogre took them out. Ogre killed Jin Kazama. He killed the first King. He's been going around and just offing fighters of Tekken 2.
He's got a list and he's checking it twice.
Yeah, he also put Beck, who was Hwoarang's mentor, on the shelf.
Uh-huh. So basically, if there's a character that I'm wondering, right, why are you here? Who are you? Why should I care? They're wanting revenge because Ogre killed someone that they know and care about.
Yeah.
So yeah, King looks very eerie. There's going to be a lot of characters who do look weird, even by, like, janky animation standards. This character design is just very off-putting.
The new king did have help, though, from the rival of the old king, known as Armor King. To recap, the first king had a rival called Armor King. King 1 raised King 2 in the orphanage. King 1 was killed by Ogre, and King 2 was trained by Armor King to become the new king. It's king complicated.
See, his ending doesn't reflect that.
You do see Armor King in his ending.
Yeah, you do see Armor King, but you don't see, like, there's nothing where it's like any of the kids rushing to greet him after his victory or whatever. It's just like Armor King putting his thumb down and then, you know, King winning the WWE Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, you know, he's just, oh no, can't celebrate the win, I've got to see what Armor King is. And then Armor King looks all sad and disappointed. He doesn't really win fuck all except for a disappointed coach and the AEW Championship belt.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's not a good ending. That's a bit rubbish. Like, that's an opening cutscene.
I do mark out when I see King 1's moveset. It's a series of wrestling moves, especially.
Which were quite fun, I'll say that.
You can do a figure 4 lead lock, an armbar, a tombstone pile driver, and you even won the fight with Heihachi with a Frankenstein out of nowhere.
Yeah, I managed somehow just with sheer button mashing to do a Frankenstein.
Straight out of the Big Papa Punt playbook, that one. Or should I say the Steiner math textbook.
Oh, God.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you as sacrifice.
Right, time to add more diversity, gender diversity, as we have another woman to play.
Ling Xiaoyu.
Age, 16.
She's 16? Okay, right, that makes sense.
Nationality, Chinese. Occupation, 10th grade student and looking after Panda. We'll come back to that one. Fighting style, Haki-ken, Heike-ken, and various other Chinese martial arts.
I do not know what a Heihachi is.
Me neither, I probably pronounced that wrong, I apologise. Hobby, travelling, and visiting amusement parks around the world.
Oh, right, okay, that makes sense.
Likes, Chinese steamed buns, shrimp dumplings, and Peking duck. Dislikes, math teachers. Fucking Barbie representative right there.
Math class is tough.
Yeah. So, that's another one where it's like, you know, Tinder profile type thing. Oh, I like travelling. But it does check out if she's wanting to, like, see all the theme parks and everything, you know. That makes sense. It also makes sense for her ending, which we'll get to. I was also very surprised that she was 16, because in the game, she looks like she's 12.
Yeah, she's very, very cutesy.
But then, like, you get 16-year-olds who look a lot younger than what they are.
Especially because she has got, like, the pigtails.
Yeah. Like, when I was a teenager, I didn't wear bunches because I knew it made me look younger.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I felt self-conscious about for a long time.
So yeah, she's this really small, short Chinese girl.
Little Chun-Li, basically.
Yeah.
Little Chun-Li, who also has a panda friend.
Yeah, Ling is an interesting girl. She basically stowed away on a boat belonging to Mishima Zaibatsu for the express purpose of wanting to ask Heihachi to build her a theme park in China.
That's why she's fighting on a boat in the opening cutscene.
Yes.
Because I was wondering why she was on a boat. For a moment, it was like, oh yeah, she's going on a cruise because she likes travelling.
And just likes fighting on cruises.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a stowaway on this boat and had resoundingly kicked the crap out of all the bodyguards on the boat. So Heihachi chose to groom this girl into being a better fighter.
Yeah, not that sort of grooming. Yeah.
He had her join the high school that he went to Japan and gave her a bodyguard in Panda.
Ah, right. See, I thought Panda was like another student at the school.
No, that is Ling Xiaoyu's bodyguard, and I'll explain how that works when we get to Kuma and Panda.
Yeah, we'll save that for later.
It was here that she made friends with Jin Kazama and followed him when he left to join the Tekken 3 tournament.
Right, so she saw Jin going to fight in this tournament and was like, oh, can I come?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of cute.
She wants to win so she can get that theme park off of Heihachi.
So that means that Heihachi owns a theme park. His company, it's all evil McEvil and Son stuff, private military, the works, and then a theme park.
I mean, come on. What is Heihachi if not this fantasy world's Disney?
Yeah, I mean, the man has more money than sense. Of course he's building a theme park.
I don't think he has one yet. I don't think he builds one if Ling Xiaoyu wins.
No, I genuinely did think that, oh yeah, he's just got a theme park and he's going to give Xiaoyu the keys.
No, because if you beat the game with Ling Xiaoyu, she's the only one who gets this. She gets an anime cutscene.
Yeah.
As her closing thing, where it's her dream of Ling Xiaoyu land that she's there when it gets turned on by a Heihachi, and it reveals the fact that it's actually Heihachi land.
And all the rides look like Heihachi. There's like one close-up of a ride, which is just the Dumbo elephant ride in Disneyland.
And you're riding on Heihachi's back.
Yeah.
While he's T-posing in the sky.
T-posing in the sky to assert dominance. And it's like, of course he's built a theme park in his image and all the rides look like him. Of course he has. So my theory was that he just had this theme park and the only person who challenges the ownership of that theme park was Ling Xiaoyu. And so, like, for all the other characters win cutscenes, he still owns the theme park. But Ling Xiaoyu beats the old bastard up and manages to mug him for his theme park keys.
No, she just beats him up and calls him a jerk.
Yeah, which was like a bit anticlimactic, which again made me think that, oh yeah, you get what your heart's desires, but there's a catch. It's never just given to you. There's always a catch.
Ling Xiaoyu is a difficult fighter to use.
She is actually the only character I didn't manage to complete the game with.
Yeah, she has a lot of like dodge moves, but she has really short range. The trick with Ling Xiaoyu is kind of what you like to play though. It's about moving fast. You get in low and you get in cheap.
But her range is so short, and there's other characters who are also fast and cheap
with
a longer range. So if you want a challenge, play as her.
100%, yeah.
But I was just not fast or zippy enough for any of that stuff.
No, I don't think you had a good time with her.
Like, I got against Wulong, who we'll talk about later, and I just couldn't beat the game with him. It was really hard. Even you were struggling, actually. I managed to beat Heihachi somehow, but Ogre kept on besting me, so I just gave up.
No, I had to take the controller off you at that point.
Yeah, I was really close to flinging it through the TV.
So after a small break, get over the drama with Ling Xiaoyu.
Oh, I was having a bit of a sulk, to be honest. I recovered like the next day, but I needed a bit of time away from the game.
After a small break, and to get over the drama with Ling Xiaoyu, we got back to the grind with a man who ruined our playthrough as Ling Xiaoyu.
Wulong.
Age 45.
The oldest character so far that we've played.
So far.
Mm-hmm.
Nationality, Chinese, more specifically Hong Kong. Occupation, policeman.
Huh.
He is listed in the strategy guide as being super cop.
Oh, God. That's such a bad word.
I know, but that's what he's listed as. Fighting style, fire style Chinese arts. Hobby, movies and naps. Likes, Sony products.
Oh my God.
Dislikes, crime and villains.
Wow, really fitting for a super cop to dislike crime and villains.
It's the Sony product I find more egregious.
Oh no, the Sony product is very, very egregious. I managed to repress that there and you've brought it back. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so fucking much.
This is a returning character from Tekken 2, and the odd follow-up rule to all fighting games needing a Bruce Lee type is the less often seen Jackie Chan type.
Ah, yes, Jackie Chan.
Yes.
So Lei Wulong has got this big, long ponytail and a silk shirt, wee silk karate jockey things, and some flat shoes. He's quite a good character to play as. He's got fun combos. He is a bit like Xiaoyu, but with more of a range.
Yeah, he moves around the battlefield a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of like has these moves where he just falls on his back, and he also takes on different stances. Like, you can do the drunken fist stance.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of Jackie Chan in the man.
Mm-hmm. Didn't, like, Jackie Chan play a policeman in the Rush Hour films?
Yeah.
Was that before or after this game?
He came in Tekken 2, which was before Rush Hour.
Ah, right.
But I'm pretty sure that Jackie Chan was in a Chinese movie called Super Cop.
Ah, yeah, hence why he's a super cop in this one, right? That makes sense. Yeah, Lei Wulong's ending is, like, a bit unremarkable as well.
Yeah, Lei's story is, well, he has none. He has a rivalry with a character called Bruce, who isn't in this game.
Sir not appearing in this playthrough.
Yeah, so him being here is a bit pointless.
Yeah, his ending is also a bit rubbish.
Yeah, he just dicks about training.
Yeah, he, like, does a bunch of martial arty training stuff in a monastery in the mountains, and then has a wee nap on a big gold Buddha statue. It's such a dull ending, and it's not even, like, that cathartic. It's just like, yeah, I want a holiday house.
I'm not sure he's won anything. He has no wants in this tournament. He's just here.
Yeah, he's just there, like, taking up space. Let's move on. He's fine to fight with, but that's about it.
Now, we brought him up before, but now it's time to come to terms with the fists of
Paul Phoenix.
age 46.
He's 46. He can't be 46.
Nationality, American. Occupation, none. Still trains with the hopes of being number one. Fighting style, combined martial arts based on judo. Hobby, motorcycles. Likes, pizza and the smell of petrol.
One of the worst things to like.
Yeah, good petrol pizza for him then.
Ah, yeah, my favourite beverage.
Although he has a trouble telling the difference between petrol and cheese. Dislikes Japanese highways.
What's so bad about Japanese highways?
I'll tell you. Paul is another character who's been in every single Tekken game, all without needing to have some bullshit story as to why he's still fighting despite his age. He is just here to kick ass and take names.
Yeah, he does strike me as that character, yeah.
He was originally the rival character for Kazuya. So he was to Kazuya what Hwoarang is to Jin.
Right. So by default making him the protagonist, because Kazuya is an absolute diabolical evil bastard. One thing I did notice about Tekken is that there are no good characters. There's no good guy and bad guy, because, like, Jin and Heihachi are like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, so I guess it is Paul, and in Paul's defense, he is quite a handy fighter.
I like playing as Paul.
He got to the semi-finals of Tekken 1 and lost Kazuya, and then got to the semi-finals in Tekken 2 and was supposed to fight Heihachi, but couldn't to make it due to Japanese traffic.
Ah, right, okay.
But since Kazuya has been thoroughly volcanoed, he has his best chance to take the tournament.
So he's, like, just there to win the tournament and get that Heihachi golden trophy.
Yes, now describe Paul for us.
So Paul Phoenix does not look like he's in his late 40s. So he's doing pretty well for his age. He's got the biker gear on and is, like, kind of chonky and muscly. Another one with attack eyebrows, but not quite as attacky as Jin's eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
One of his defining features, though, is the big Bart Simpson flat top hair thing.
Yeah, he's putting Guile to shame.
Yeah, but it's not very aerodynamic hair, which you'd think for a biker you'd want. And also, good luck putting a helmet on that bonds. Jesus. You kind of should wear a helmet when you're riding a motorbike, but this guy's a badass. He doesn't need a helmet. He'll risk having his skull bashed in if his bike crashes.
Yeah. Paul is very punch-focused.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a lot of kick combos, but a lot of it is just good 1-2s with his punches, mixing a kick every here and there. But one of my favourite moves to do with him is this kind of like downward hook he has. It's forward in both punches, and it just melts people. When we get to Tekken Force mode later, I was using that move a lot.
It's a very good move, yeah. Yeah, I spammed it quite a lot when I was playing him in arcade mode.
But yeah, Paul does come off as a bit of a tragic character.
He sure does.
Especially when you know what happened after this game.
See, I don't know what happened after this game, but I am going based by his ending cutscene.
Yeah, do you want to actually explain his ending to the listener?
So, Paul Phoenix is riding his motorbike down the highway. I'm assuming, getting his kicks on Route 66.
Yeah.
Having a wee holiday to himself. And he overtakes a truck and it honks the horn at him. Then an old decrepit police officer notices this slight road indiscretion and goes after him on the motorbike. Oh boy, an epic car chase. This is going to be... Wait, never mind. Paul is pulled over and he got a speeding ticket.
He's a good boy.
Paul Phoenix worked so hard in that fucking tournament, fighting up the ranks, 11 rounds, and all he got was a speeding ticket. This is when I began to really question why bother with these cutscenes.
Oh, you don't know how worse it gets.
It gets worse. There are some that are like really fun and iconic and hilarious, but there's just some of them that are there that's like, why bother having this cutscene which does nothing and says nothing? It's a bit funny, oh, get a speeding ticket, but it's not funny. He worked for that win. He should get something a bit more useful for saying who his character is. There's so much storytelling and lore that just doesn't turn up in Tekken 3's gameplay or cutscenes or fuck all. Genuinely, it kind of makes me a bit angry.
You lose.
And to save the best of the main cast for last, we have my favourite character since the very first game,
Yoshimitsu.
Alien boy, yeah.
Age, unknown. Nationality, none. Formerly Japanese, possibly space. Occupation, leader of the Manji clan. Fighting style, Manji ninja arts. Hobby, watching sumo matches and net surfing. Likes, arcades. Dislikes, villains.
God, another one who dislikes villains.
And bad-mannered game players.
So, your man doesn't really like those Twitch people who go and shout at people.
I think he got out of gaming before COD and the Xbox Game Pass rose to prominence.
Yeah, he would not have much tolerance for all the teenagers shouting at each other in the COD lobbies.
Yeah, he couldn't handle when a 12-year-old told him he's going to fuck his mum.
Yeah. So, Yoshimitsu is a cyber sword man. He's got like this suit of armor and a lightsaber and like a helmet that kind of makes him look a bit like the Green Goblin. Like if the Green Goblin was a Jedi.
So you think that's a helmet he's wearing?
Either that, it's his actual head and he's actually an alien.
Yes, that's his actual head.
That's his actual head. Oh God, love him.
I can't tell you if he's an alien or not. He might be an alien. He was originally listed from space.
Can I just say, his poor mother. Imagine having to push that out.
That's one thing though, he didn't have that head previously.
How did he manage to get that head?
Yoshimitsu has been in every Tekken game, but in every Tekken game, he looks drastically different.
So, is he like a shapeshifter?
It's kind of more the idea that he gets rebuilt every time, because he's part cyborg.
Oh yeah, hence the cyber thing. And like he makes weird cyber noises as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like he does look like something out of Deus Ex or like RoboCop's weird alien brother.
Also needs to be said, for a fighting tournament, he's rocking up with a fucking sword.
Yeah, isn't that cheating?
Kind of a wee bit, yeah.
Yeah, like you can't bring a lightsaber to a fist fight.
Yeah, it's just complete bullshit. He's just rocking, and you can stab people with his sword.
Yeah, like somehow these people are still able to keep fighting despite being like gutted like a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Anime bullshit logic, who cares? Yeah, it's interesting. Another one who, is really leaning towards liking Sony products.
Yeah, I think he's more okay playing Virtua Fighter.
Yeah. A bit of a nerd, wouldn't have pinned him as being a gamer because his ending cutscene doesn't really reflect that.
He does have a very weird ending cutscene, but it does involve another character, so we'll get to his ending when we get to Bosconovitch.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how he looks, though, Yoshimitsu has always had the same personality. As a Robin Hood type who likes to rob from the rich and give to the poor.
So, I mean, really, really scoping out those very wealthy gaming YouTubers.
Mm-hmm. Like in Tekken 1, when you complete the game, he opens the chest full of money as he's riding through town on a horse, and lets the one all blow out into the people, including martial law, who's in his ending happily scooping up money.
Oh my god, it's literally a Lady Godiva story. Like, he is like, literally could be Lady Godiva if he was riding on that horse naked.
Yes.
Which
Now,
some people, I'm sure, have drawn.
but yes, Yoshimitsu has entered this tournament to get the blood of Ogre to help Dr. Bosconovitch, who helped rebuild Yoshimitsu.
Wait, it's to help rebuild him?
We'll explain this when we get to Dr. Bosconovitch, but he needs Ogre's blood, and Yoshimitsu's helping him. As Yoshimitsu wants to thank Dr. Bosconovitch, because Bosconovitch rebuilt Yoshimitsu's arm.
Right, okay. Lending a helping hand.
Yes. There is one combo that I love with Yoshimitsu, and it's one that I did teach to you, which is forward, forward, double kick, double punch, double kick, which will make him cartwheel, dive forward, and then do a kangaroo kick.
Oh yeah, the kangaroo kick!
Yeah.
Yeah, like MJF.
It's this incredible combo that you can do from halfway across the map. Wrecks opponent's health if they gets through.
One thing that I didn't like about Yoshimitsu's move was that there's one where he can like balance on his sword and like do a kick or punch or something, but it's so easy for your opponent to just knock him off his sword.
He also has this really weird move where he can sit down on the ground, goes into like a cross-leg stance,
And heal.
and heals himself, yeah.
Yeah, like he like kind of bounces up and down when he's in the cross-leg position.
And he can do the Raiden teleport.
Oh yeah, the Raiden teleport. Yeah, that was a move that I really liked when I played Mortal Kombat.
A very interesting character. It's always been my favourite in all the games. I can kick ass with him, but he can be a bit tricky until you learn all his combos.
Yeah, he's quite tricky to play, but I did manage to beat him, and I did have fun using him, so...
Now, those are all the main characters, all unlocked from the start, but there are plenty of characters to unlock.
Yeah.
Do note, listener, that this game has more bonus characters than main characters, so stay comfortable.
Yeah. Get your cup of cocoa now.
Let me go out of order for a moment and start this section with the most important bonus character in the game. The antagonist of Tekken 1 and the protagonist of Tekken 2.
Heihachi Mishima.
Age, 73.
No bad, looking for 73.
Nationality, Japanese. Occupation, leader of the Mishima Zaibatsu. Fighting style, Mishima-style fighting karate. Hobby, meditation and bathing.
Frequenter of the bathhouse, is he?
Seems so.
Mm-hmm.
Likes ruling the world.
I mean, if you ruled the world, you would quite like ruling the world, wouldn't you?
Dislikes nothing.
Nothing. Doesn't dislike anything.
Well, Kazuya's dead, so no.
I don't know, like, he does seem like a bit of a Tory.
Oh god, he is such...
He is such a fucking Tory. He's got enough money to be a Tory as well. And let's face it, Kazuya voted Labour to spite his dad, and that's why he doesn't like him.
I think he said, we have now seen Heihachi's father in the game, so yeah, I definitely think he came from old blue money.
Yeah.
Now, I think we've also done his look in our first half.
It is an iconic look.
Yeah, just kind of like Hulk Hogan went Super Saiyan.
Yeah, he's in very good shape.
He's ripped.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first game where he doesn't have on his black tiger gi.
Yeah, now he's just like, he's only got the gi bottoms. For all the time I've played him, he's been shirtless.
Oh god, wait till Tekken 4, where he shows up in a fundoshi.
What's that?
In sumo wrestlers, when they have that white nappy on.
Why is he wearing one of those? Does he take to sumo wrestling in between games?
No. It's a traditional thing. The reason why sumo wrestlers wear that is to maintain their modesty while showing their pure form. Bare minimum you can wear.
Yeah, covers your bits and your arse crack, and that's about it. Shows off a lot of leg.
Wait till you see this model in Tekken 4. It doesn't cover much of the arse crack. Oh, I've seen far too much of Heihachi.
Which I'm sure someone enjoyed.
If you want to know what a 73-year-old arse crack looked like, here's your chance.
I mean, not bad as far as 73-year-olds go. Not that I'd know. But, you know, you can only assume. Either that or they're really going for the fan service.
I think we've said enough now to know his deal. He's an old, unkillable prick who lacks the common decency to accept defeat, be it in competition, business, or even life. This is a man who threw his young child off a cliff to toughen him up. And when that son grew up to resent his dad, Heihachi took it upon himself to murder his son via volcano.
I wouldn't have been surprised if throwing his son into the active volcano was another exercise in toughening him up.
This is a man who adopted a boy just to piss off his actual son, and then treated the adopted son like shit too.
Hang on, wait, adopt Jin to spite his father?
Not Jin, no. Kazuya has an adopted brother called Lee Xiaolin. He's not in this game, but he's in all the other games.
Sir not appearing in this playthrough.
Another one.
There's a whole noble family of not appearing in this playthroughs.
Like I said, they cleaned up the roster.
Yeah, cleaned is an interesting word. They just got Ogre to kill everyone. Like in Too Many Cooks with a fat guy who goes around killing everyone. Yeah, that really does give me those vibes.
This is a man who is grooming his grandson to be the best fighter ever, with intentions of killing him once Heihachi gets what he wants.
Yeah, but the problem is, right, is who's going to run his theme park when he dies?
Heihachi's never going to die. That fucker will outlive the cockroaches.
Yeah, it'll be him, the cockroaches, and those bloody Budley that keep growing up our walls.
The evilest old man to ever have been conceived, second only to Vince McMahon. Admittedly, Heihachi has kind of become the main character of the series.
Yeah, I can understand that. He has persisted long enough.
I mean, not to spoil, but he's supposedly dead in the lore right now. And he's not going to be in Tekken 8, but I don't fucking believe them.
He will be back.
I'm not convinced he's gone. I'll believe it when we get to Tekken 9 and he's still not in the game. But even if he's not in Tekken 8, I've still got to assume that he's going to come back somehow.
Like, Ogre has eaten him 500 times and he's still survived. Like, in most of the endings, he has survived somehow. I don't know how he's done it.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. Good idea.
Heihachi's fighting style is pretty much exactly like Jin's.
Yeah.
He has less moves because Jin has some of Jin Kazama's moves, which Heihachi doesn't.
Right.
So excluding a smaller palette, he has got a lot more focus that him and Kazuya used to have.
Yeah, I found him very punch heavy.
Yeah, he is quite a punchy character. Some good kicks in him too. That axe kick that him and Jin have, where he pumps the foot up and down. Although he does have a great move, he just headbutts someone.
Oh yeah, there is the headbutt as well.
Goes proper Glasgow style. So yes, if not to spoil it from that description, Heihachi's plan was to string Jin through the entire tournament to beat Ogre, and then kill Jin.
A little bit of nepotism, jiggery-pokery type stuff going on there.
Yeah, and the minute Jin stopped being useful, he was getting offed. That's actually, we didn't talk about during Jin's ending, but that is actually what happens when you complete the game with him.
Oh, fucking iconic. Jin's ending scene is wild. Actually, one of my favourites.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most interesting thing about him. So after defeating Ogre, after Ogre eats Heihachi or something they do when the camera whites out, Jin is shot by the bad guys, and oh no, it's Heihachi. Heihachi shot him. Oh no, Jin is dead tragically.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, one of the guards looking over him gets splatted against the wall right behind Heihachi, making Heihachi turn around, and then he sees Jin with weird like spooky face paint and red eyes, and oh, he's a demon, who attacks Heihachi by like punching him through the castle walls. Heihachi's lying on the floor, and then Jin flies off into the night, having developed demon angel wings, like the Wicked Witch of the West, and that's the end of the scene.
Yes, because he has his dad's devil gene. Remember how Kazuya had his devil form? This is to show that Jin has the same gene as Kazuya.
Right, okay. None of that came across. As far as I knew, like, Jin might have got it during the tournament, or something like that. Or he just turned out to be a weird evil demon boy. I don't know.
No, that's something he inherited from his dad.
Ah, right, okay. Because his dad does not come up. When you were saying, like, oh, Jen, what dead parent do you think there is in this game? And I'm like, his mum? I don't know. I was close.
We have since learned that Kazuya inherited it from Heihachi's wife.
Wait, so it's passed down the mother's line?
Yes. It was passed down from Heihachi's wife to Kazuya, Kazuya to Jin, and he'll probably die with Jin because he's going to die a virgin. That's why also in Heihachi's ending, you see him dispose of Jin's body.
So, okay, Heihachi's ending, Jin is left unconscious on the floor. I don't know how he managed to survive that encounter, but Heihachi managed to survive it, so, he and Jin are in the helicopter, and I thought, oh, that's nice. He's riding back to the hospital with his grandson so he can recover from his injuries. How nice. Wait, the spooky face tattoos. And then Heihachi notices the spooky face tattoos, and he's, Jin's still unconscious on the hospital stretcher. And then Heihachi decides to pick up his grandson and throw him off the helicopter to his death.
Yeah.
And when I said, this is familiar, Heihachi's got a habit of throwing his progenitors off from great heights.
Yes. He has a habit of just letting gravity do his dirty work. And is yet to realise that gravity is not on his side. That would be Heihachi's ideal ending of the game.
So that's what he won in the tournament, the chance to throw his grandson off a helicopter.
Yes. Anyway, from here we'll move on.
Right.
And go through the bonus characters mostly in the unlocked order. Starting with the character you beat the game with in that first night. The bear, named
Kuma.
Age 8. 20 in bear years.
Yeah.
Occupation, bodyguard to Heihachi. Fighting style, advanced bear fighting.
Of course he's advanced bear fighting, being a bear.
Hobby, training and cooking salmon.
Right.
Likes, television, Heihachi and Panda.
Yeah.
Dislikes, 14-inch black and white TVs and Paul Phoenix.
That's so weirdly specific. That dimension of television he doesn't like.
Yes.
But is it because, he can't see the screen properly? Are bears known for having shit vision? I wouldn't have thought so. Heihachi has got, Evil McEvil and Sons money. He can afford to buy his bear bodyguard a flat-screen TV. Kuma is a brown bear with a red handkerchief scarf. He is a good boy. I know he's guarding Heihachi, but you gotta make a living somehow.
Yes.
You gotta be able to afford that salmon and those big TVs.
Kuma is actually Kuma the Second, the son of the first Kuma, who trained with Heihachi while he was in exile between Tekkens 1 and 2.
Heihachi taught a bear martial arts.
So it would be a better fighting opponent, yes. And then when the dad died, he raised the son to be a replacement to the dad.
So a bit like what he did with Jin, except he found a more successful student with the bear that he taught. The pet bear that Heihachi had was less of a disappointment to him than his actual human child.
Heihachi probably has more love for Kuma than he does for Kazuya or Jin.
There is a joke saying in Glasgow that we love our pets more than we love our wains.
Yeah, I think that's very true in this regard.
This bear gets salmon. When did Heihachi teach the bear how to cook?
Maybe he didn't teach him. Maybe the bear learned on his own. Maybe he's been watching Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, that's been watching a lot of cooking videos on the Food Network on the regular.
Another thing that he's inherited from his dad was a seething hatred of Paul Phoenix.
Right, what is the deal with him and Paul Phoenix?
Paul Phoenix beat Kuma in the first and second Tekken tournaments, and now it is a task that father has bequeathed to son that they must defeat Paul Phoenix.
So that's why Kuma's in the tournament.
Mostly just to fight Paul Phoenix, yeah. Before we talk more about Kuma, though, he does have a strange mannerism to him. With every other character, Square selects outfit 1, and X selects outfit 2. But with Kuma, instead of a second outfit when you press X, you get a whole second character.
Panda.
I love Panda, she's great.
This biography I got from the Tekken wiki rather than my Prima guide. Age, 7. 16 in Panda years.
That's a bit of an age gap.
Occupation, pet and bodyguard. Fighting style, advanced bear fighting. Hobby, flowerbed maintenance and protecting Ling Xiaoyu. Likes, Ling Xiaoyu and bamboo. And dislikes, Kuma. I don't think you really need to describe Panda, it's just a panda bear.
Panda's great. I have a bit of a headcanon for her, right? Where I thought that Panda was also attending the school with Ling Xiaoyu.
No, because it's Heihachi's high school, he's given Ling Xiaoyu extra permission to have a panda with her.
See, I'm really surprised that Heihachi managed to train a panda to do fuck all but eat bamboo. Because pandas are notoriously lazy. They can't even be bothered to procreate. That's why they're endangered. How much power this man has that he's managed to get a panda to behave like an actual bear.
She hasn't lost her kind want to not procreate. The entire series has involved Kuma wanting to date Panda, and Panda always refusing his advances.
It's a bit rubbish going, well, that's a bear and that's a bear. They should totally, go for it. They're probably not a good match. Pandas get, her studies to think about.
But they have so much in common. I know advanced bear fighting, you know advanced bear fighting. I hang out with Heihachi, you hang out with Ling Xiaoyu.
That's not how dating works. And I don't know the ins and outs of bear dating, but I don't think that, a panda and a brown bear would really be a good match.
Love is love. Love transcends all species.
Not to Panda, apparently.
Clearly no.
But I thought that she wins the tournament. I mean, I know they get the same ending, but they're different characters. Where, you think Kuma's gonna, kill the panda and Xiaoyu or something. And then, when they come out of the school gates, he's waiting there with a bunch of flowers to give to Panda, and Panda just walks right past him as if he's not there. I felt so bad for him. I mean, Panda won her chance to graduate high school, but Kuma won a bunch of flowers from a petrol station and humiliating rejection.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Another person who did not get anything good from this tournament. So, Kuma and Panda are pretty fun to play. They're a bit heavier and harder hitting, but it also means that they're a lot slower.
They're actually quite fast for their size.
Fast for their size, but still quite slow in relation to other characters in the roster.
Very true, yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make Panda a little bit slower, considering, the reputation of pandas as a whole.
The bears do have this amazing square combo, where it's a fist down, fist left, fist right.
Yeah, which is really good. I managed to not spam it for the whole time, but I did spam it a lot.
You laughed every time you did his grab, though.
Yeah, because he was, grabbing, for, a huggy wuggy attack, and going,
And just kind of gnawing on their tits.
Yeah, it's supposed to look like he's mauling them to death, but he's not really. So it looks like he's making nibble noises.
He's motorboating them.
Not motorboating, how you're playing and laughing with a baby or something like that, and you blow raspberries in their tummy or something. It's looked a bit like that. It was really cute.
Made you laugh every time.
Every single time. I'm so easily amused. Okay, right, that's my last one.
Next, we have another descendant character, the adopted daughter of Tekken 1 and 2's Michelle Chang.
Julia Chang.
That's who Julia and her mother are. I was wondering about that.
Age, 18. Nationality, Native American. Occupation, student majoring in archaeology research. Fighting style, Chang Kempo. Hobby, unknown. Likes, buffalo. Unclear if that's the animal, the city, or just the act of bullying.
Or the sauce.
Dislikes, Mishima Zaibatsu.
Julia has braids in her hair and the kind of headband type thing with a feather in it and a skirt and cowboy boots. I really like her look. I think it's really cool, but I don't know if everyone feels like that.
I imagine it's stereotypical, but not in a way that's immediately racist.
It's not really our place to say whether or not that is, but at first I didn't realise she was actually Native American. She's quite pale and quite passing, so I wasn't really sure. But then it's oh yeah, she is actually Native American. Again, not really for us to say whether it's stereotypical or caricaturous or not. I really like her. She's my favourite character to play.
Yeah, you actually had a good time with her.
I had a good time with her. Her combos are really easy to remember. She's super zippy, and she looked really cool. So I wasn't ending up spamming the same type of moves. I was getting a lot of fun trying out all the different combos. She's actually the only one that gets something properly nice at the end.
Yeah, she's also the only one who has actual dialogue in our closing cutscene.
She's the only one that has voice acting, but it is Resident Evil levels of bad voice acting.
I'll play it for the listener right now.
Michelle? Mother!
You have conquered Ogre. Now the key to control Ogre is this pendant. It was all Heihachi's evil plot.
I'll never let Heihachi get away with this.
No, Julia, wait. Julia, hatred is not the answer. Do you remember why I taught you the powers to fight? It was to protect Mother Earth, not to destroy. Now let's go home, back to Arizona, where the land awaits us.
But I kind of wish more of the cutscenes had it.
It would help explain the story a lot more.
But also it would be very funny.
But, you see that circular thing she's holding in that cutscene that they're talking about? That is one of the most important items in the game. And it's on a character who's been incredibly marginalised. That trinket is what they think has summoned Ogre.
Really?
And it is what helps turn Ogre into true Ogre.
I thought snogging Heihachi turned Ogre into true Ogre.
Heihachi stole that from Michelle in the last game and has kidnapped Michelle. Heihachi has that amulet. So when Julia wins the tournament, she gets the amulet back.
Yeah.
Julia has now saved her adopted mother and saved the amulet at the same time.
Which is a nice ending.
So what's turning Ogre into true Ogre is the amulet. So every time when you beat Ogre and he grabs Heihachi and holds him up, he's actually taking the amulet off him to turn into true Ogre.
Right, that did not come across at all.
It does not, no. I only know that because of the Tekken 3 anime that they've done.
For the longest time, I thought that Ogre is lifting up Heihachi by his neck in like this kind of like chokehold thing. And I thought either Ogre was going to eat Heihachi or like going in for a cheeky snog. I did not even know there was an amulet at all. That's why it didn't make sense to me, like why every time Heihachi appeared after he was eaten by Ogre, I didn't understand how Heihachi survived that.
Heihachi isn't the key to becoming true Ogre.
Yeah, so it's not like, you know, after Ogre and Heihachi fall in love and get together and have a moment of passion, that he finds out his true self and becomes a weird fire-breathing kaiju something or other. I am actually kind of disappointed that it was just an amulet the whole time.
We'll talk more about true Ogre when we get to him in the cast.
Yes.
So after Julia, we then unlocked...
Gunjack.
Age, 7, kinda.
What?
Nationality, Russian, kinda.
Huh?
Occupation, purpose unknown, kinda.
What, are these kindas all in the book?
No, that's added by me.
Alright, okay.
Fighting style, power fighting.
Kinda.
Hobby, weapons training.
Kinda.
Stop. Likes, self-analysis. Dislikes, scrap factories.
Gunjack is a cyborg man with a cyborg mohawk. Better hair than Paul Phoenix, but the bar is not high for that.
At least it makes sense why his hair is able to stand up. Made of metal.
Yeah. I wonder if that was Dr. B that gave him that hairstyle.
No. See, Gunjack is an interesting character. Gunjack is obviously an android. He's also a rebuild of a previous character.
See, I thought he was like another cyborg. He wasn't like a full robot.
No, he is a completely mechanical man.
Okay, right, that does make sense.
Now, Tekken 1 had a character called Jack, and Tekken 2 had a character called Jack 2. Jack 1 was a robot, and Jack 2 is an upgrade of Jack 1. Usual thing you added to upgrades, Wi-Fi support, that type of thing. Just kidding there. What Jack 2 did have was an advanced AI that achieved sentience, turning against his country and choosing to save a young girl who was caught up in the crossfire of a group of Jacks.
Oh, so there are many Jacks?
Yes.
And they're all Russian?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Jacks fought the other Jacks in a massive jack-off. Going rogue was not appreciated though, and he got destroyed by a space laser in Tekken 2.
Oh, that's why there's a death laser.
The girl he saved though never forgot that kindness. She grew up with a love of robotics, and has now learned how to reactivate Jack 2 in the guise of her own build called Gunjack.
Right, okay, so a bit like, I was going to say a bit like Terminator, but Terminator just seems to appear.
No, 100% is absolutely a reference to Terminator. She got saved by a Terminator and now loves Terminators.
Yeah.
For now though, Jack has actually got a lot of moves in common with Kuma and Panda.
Yeah.
They do a lot of the same kind of power moves, and it's because they were both built in the same model of having this heavy power kind of ability.
Yeah.
The only difference being is that Gunjack can T-pose and launch himself into the sky.
Yeah, that's one of his victory poses. Whenever, like, he comes on to fight, he does the and then, like, chews his way onto the fighting bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny, actually.
He's also got the ability to do the Cossack dance.
Oh, that's also hilarious. Of course he's got the ability to do the Cossack dancing. He's Russian.
Yeah.
That's something, like, all Russians do. It's Russian 101.
But his is eventually kicks the opponent.
Yes. There's another character who can do that, but we'll get to him.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, like, the backstory between Gunjack and the woman. I don't remember her name. So I just assumed that in the tournament he won, like, a hot scientist wife. So she's like, her eyes, she's like, typing up on her computer and he's all hooked up. King of the Iron Fist tournament, and her eyes widen as if mildly aroused and full of pride or whatever. She hops on his shoulder and then they walk out of, like, the barn that they're in, and they're going to Italy for their honeymoon. And then there's an evil scientist in space,
Dr. Abel,
who fires down a death laser from space. And then it's all fine, because Gunjack is a big, strong robot man with a big, strong robot force field. And they keep going towards Italy because they have a hotel booked and an itinerary planned. They've got a nice restaurant by the sea that they'd like to go to for dinner.
Why do all your endings assume that they want to fuck?
This is just how my brain is. I don't know.
Like, did you write Samurai Cop or something?
Shut up! My endings are so much more wholesome than fucking Samurai Cop.
Right. Now we're going to skip an unlock right now and go into the fifth unlockable.
Anna Williams.
Age, 20. Nationality, Irish. Occupation, student. Fighting style, bone martial arts and Aikido. Hobby, planting false memories in Nina.
What?
Likes, espresso, and Jerry from Tom and Jerry.
That is very strange. Espresso, yes. But the Tom and Jerry's a bit out of left.
I'm not kidding there. Back in the old games, Nina's likes had Tom from Tom and Jerry.
Right, okay.
Dislikes Nina, because now that she's got her memories, she's no longer fun to rival.
Oh, that's interesting. Because you do, as much as, like, there's lots that the game doesn't get across very well, they get across the sibling rivalry between Nina and Anna pretty well.
Yes, if we've not made it clear yet, Nina and Anna are sisters.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you actually said, because I wouldn't have guessed otherwise.
The fact they both have the surname Williams.
I just didn't make the link at the time. But then when I played Anna, I got the link. And I could kind of understand what the dynamic kind of was like. Anna's got this light brown bob and is wearing like a really silky, sultry evening dress with lacy tights and elbow-high gloves and heels. I kind of nicknamed her Slapper Spice.
Yes. Remember how I said in the last few games, every character had a sub-boss who just basically was the main character and they just had the same moveset and it was a bit unoriginal?
Mm-hmm.
Anna was one of those characters, but for some reason they didn't get cut.
I can understand, though, because the two characters play off each other.
But they have the same moveset almost, apart from, as you said, Anna is more slappy.
Yeah. I mean, I also did call her that because she gets slapped by Nina, and she does have this, like, very seductive Jessica Rabbit type thing, because every time she wins, she either, like, shimmies her boobs or she wiggles her bum, and that's kind of, like, always codified as, bit of a slut, this one.
Yes, she is a hoe.
Yeah. Her ending cutscene is kind of funny, though.
Yeah, she kind of, like, cucks her sister.
So in her cutscene, she's on holiday with Nina and Chagalu, and then some very cursed-looking pool party boys congregate near Anna. Anna leads them away with her siren powers to, I assume, consume their ripe souls for brunch.
Yeah, there's something a weird bit like, yeah, I stole the guy who was interested in Nina, and now I'm going to go and have sex with all three men.
I thought Anna was kind of saving Nina from all these men, because Nina wanted a bit of peace and quiet to read her book or something.
No, it's more Anna going, no cock for my big sister. Only I get cocks.
Again, that rivalry and doing that quite well, because it's like, well, Anna's like the hot one that keeps getting all the guys, and Nina's like the one who's a bit more like demure and quiet and introverted.
Yeah, it's hard to explain their dynamic.
Be interesting to see them on a night out, but I can't imagine it would all end well.
At some point, I have to show you all the endings for Nina and Anna because they get a bit weird, and I dare to say fetishistic.
Oh, do they do that whole like having both the twins thing?
I'll show you later. Onwards we go to our next unlockable, and the character with the most min-max name ever.
Bryan Fury.
He kept calling him Bryan Furry.
It's that name though. Fury. Badass. Bryan. Boring. Age, 29.
I'm sorry, Bryan Fury's 29. I thought he was like in his early 50s.
Just because he's got white hair doesn't mean he's old.
But Heihachi's the only other person with like white grey hair. Is he like bleach blonde like Darby Allin or something?
He's just really, really stressed.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's aged like 20 years after what's happened to him in the previous games.
Nationality, American. Occupation, collecting brain data.
Oh, so he works for Facebook.
No, he's trying to collect the data of Dr. Bosconovitch.
By stalking him on Facebook.
Fighting style, kickboxing. Hobby, collecting cigarette lighters. Likes, haircuts in solitude. And dislikes, bright sunlight.
Of course dislikes bright sunlight. He's as pale as a fucking vampire.
Describe Bryan the Furry.
So, he's a kickboxer. At least I thought he was a kickboxer. And more often than not, you can just flail around button mashing randomly and you'll get something out of him. Bryan really still looks like he's in his early 50s. I'm seeing him right now in the Bible. He's topless with these snakeskin trousers and shoes and gloves, and he's got grey hair. He's got grey hair, and he's got like a scar on his face. And in the game, he looks so white, he's translucent. I thought he was Paul Phoenix's coach and mentor, that he was in his early 50s, and Paul Phoenix was like 30s tops.
Well, you keep saying that you keep thinking he was in other games, but actually, if he's only 29, he's not been in a previous game. He is new to the franchise.
What has happened to him that he has aged 40 years? He looks like 40 years older than he actually is. How much does this man smoke?
Right. Before I explain to you, right, I want the listener to enjoy your joy of explaining what you think happened in his ending then.
His ending is hilarious. Bryan is in a dark alley pursued by soldiers when he runs into a dead end. Oh no! But he runs headlong at them. They rain bullets on him. He, unscathed, keeps running at them and beats up the soldiers and then makes them run away. He goes straight past them. He jumps onto the tank that has managed to fit into this very tight alley at a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
He then tears off the gun turret of the tank and javelin shot put throws it across the other side of the road and squishes all the retreating soldiers, and then he's on top of a car and has a cheeky wee chuckle to himself.
Right, in your mind, what is going on there?
So Bryan wished for super strength and then won that in the tournament, but the trade-off and the catch to it was they ended up becoming like Jeff the Killer type insane. Maybe he got Jin powers but like didn't get the face paint. I don't know. Maybe he's just like that.
Right. To explain it...
Is he a vampire?
No.
Is that what vampires did in the 90s?
No. He is a cyborg, like Yoshimitsu.
Another one?
Though, while Yoshimitsu was rebuilt by Bosconovitch, Bryan was rebuilt by Dr. Abel, the evil scientist who fired the laser at Gunjack.
So that's why he managed to get all that skin, because he's evil.
Though since Bosconovitch is good and Abel is evil, Bryan is an imperfect machine. He wants to steal Bosconovitch's data so he can be upgraded. Before he was killed, Bryan Fury was a Hong Kong policeman alongside Wulong. Lei found out that Bryan was corrupt and Bryan was killed in a gun battle, possibly by Lei Wulong.
Not such a super cop after all.
Now, as far as I can tell, that has never came back up in the franchise.
Did Bryan just, like, forget?
Bryan is here to get Bosconovitch's data.
So he's not here to get revenge on Lei Wulong. That's just a nice bonus.
Yes, and Lei Wulong is not here to deal with Bryan Fury.
Yeah, but they had to make another connection so the plot was a bit more coherent.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a weak one if you ask me.
It's a bit of a weak one and it doesn't come up. If they were going to make something of it, they should have made something of it.
And now we get to the final boss of the game, and some might say the all-star of Tekken 3.
Ogre.
Somebody no, look, use that theme.
Boo.
Age, ageless.
That's very convenient.
Nationality, nationalist. No.
Nationalist?
Nationality, unknown. Occupation, none. Yeah, he's on job seekers. Fighting style, unknown. Hobby, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown. We don't really have much on Ogre.
So, bit of a boring bastard then.
Yeah, a bit of a boring sod, yeah.
Yeah, either that or the game manual just thought,
Now, describe Ogre for us.
Ogre is big, buff, green man who is like Ganondorf with a stupid-sized ponytail and gladiator clothes.
Yeah, he has got more of a Ganondorf look to him.
Yeah. Which, I mean, doesn't for some people.
I'm glad this time you mentioned the green skin.
He's not the most, formidable of villains.
Because you're playing it on easy, he's a lot more of a challenge in the other mode.
I think so. He's a lot more of a challenge and a bit more difficulty, but because I've played him 23 times on easy, I can't help but not be particularly threatened by him.
No, at a certain point you started having a laugh. It was like, oh, we've just beat Heihachi, who's always the sub-boss. Now it's time to fight Ogre.
Da da da!
Yet this, my dear disciple, is the god of fighting.
Right.
Feast your eyes on God's boring grace. I get they're playing us in easy mode, and I get that if you know how to use him, he's incredible. He is top tier.
Yeah.
But as a final boss, he fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how formidable a god of fighting he actually is.
Yeah, there's just no way around it. This is his only official appearance in any of the Tekken games. This is the only game they're going to appear in, and it doesn't surprise me because he is just not an interesting villain. Again, remember I talked about Tekken 1 and Tekken 2? Tekken 1 had Heihachi, who is the dad of Kazuya, and who is like the most powerful man on earth. Tekken 2 had Kazuya, who's now not only the most powerful man on earth, but coming back with a rockin' pimp purple suit. And now we have a big green man.
Big green, kinda sexy man, will I say.
Yeah, in the pantheon of final boss characters of Tekken, he is bottom of the pile.
Which is interesting considering I thought he would be the top of the pile with him and fucking Heihachi.
Oh, you haven't seen Jinpachi yet.
Oh, okay. Why is he here?
He's basically here as a canonical reason why so many names didn't return for Tekken 3.
He is like the Jim Pickens of the Tekken world.
Yeah, he's just kind of like killed off or injured most of the old names so we could pare down the roster. He's not the most interesting of characters. He's basically just the god of fighting that wants to fight the greatest fighters.
He's like eye candy who also just happens to have killed off most of the roster, and that's it. I didn't even know Ogre was the god of fighting. I just thought he was like this buff green man who puts Heihachi in a chokehold.
Though to be fair, the Green Man version isn't his true form. Like I said, if he gets the amulet that was owned by Julia Chang's mother, Michelle, he then becomes true Ogre.
I mean, I couldn't help but whenever, he turned into true Ogre, just like, fuck, change it back!
What does true Ogre look like?
True Ogre's just like a dragon thing. It's not an ogre. He's not a true ogre because he's not an ogre.
And he doesn't have layers.
Yeah, he's just like a monster thing.
Yeah, he has this like snake arm.
Oh yeah, like Xavier Renegade Angel person.
Giant wings on the back of him. Weird monster face. Giant horns. Talons, but with an arm that is a snake.
Yeah.
That is his true form, and I am not sold that is his true form. It feels like this is the form that got left in as an accidental build, and they're like, fuck it, we have to take that out at some point, and no one did. I would have dropped the ball and left that version in. Yeah,
it's not very good. It's just like, it was better like as the Ganondorf ripoff. Ganondorf.
Now, I've never liked Ogre as a character, and it blew my fucking mind to realise in fighting game circles he's considered S tier. I've never rated the character that high.
Well, which version of Ogre? Because they come up in the roster as two different characters.
Regular Ogre, regular green Ogre.
I think they just fancy him. But also, like, he is quite good at fighting. True Ogre is a bit rubbish because his best attack is an aerial fire thing, which is great, but anyone can easily just, like, you step to one side and it misses.
Yeah.
So it's a bit pointless. And Ogre, like, I don't remember a lot of Ogre's moves.
Interestingly, he does have a lot of moves on characters who aren't in this game anymore.
Oh, does he poach them from the characters he's killed?
Yes.
Maybe that's why people think he's S tier, because he's got all the cool moves from all the other characters that he killed.
Maybe a wee bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we've unlocked the final boss, I think now's the point where I just want to explain the fourth unlockable character, who makes sense to explain last.
Mokujin.
Age, unknown. Okay, it's got a lot of unknowns here, a bit like Ogre, but there's two things that are described. Occupation, training dummy, and fighting style, mimicry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What does Mokujin look like?
Mokujin is a man made out of wood. Basically, all his body parts are logs.
Yeah, he's just a series of logs.
Yeah.
Even his head is just a log block with a branch sticking out to make it look like a nose.
I didn't realise that, you know how Kuma and Panda have the same model and are marked as different skins? Mokujin has something similar.
Yeah, because if you press square, you get him in his male form. If you press X, you'll get him in his female form, where you've got breasts and the wood kind of comes out more to a skirt.
Yeah, so I was thinking to myself, oh wow, you know, proper genderqueer, non-binary icon. Have like a male or female form and like mimic any style of fighting. And I was just like, you know, praising it really highly, going, oh wow, that's so progressive. I thought it was really cool. Like, unironically, I thought it was really cool. It also helps that I really like his music. Whenever we got to the training mode, I would always pick him as the opponent, so then I could listen to that music as I was training up. My favourite music in the game. And the music in this game is really good. If our little snippets have been any indication of how good it is, it's a soundtrack that I really like. And alongside the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is one that will be on my normal playlists.
He's got a very interesting move list.
His move list is everyone's move list.
Yeah, basically every fight you do with Mokujin, he will take on the guise of a different character in the game. And you don't know who you've got. If you go into your start menu and check the commands, it won't tell you.
Yeah, so if you know your character roster inside out, you'll have a much better time playing Mokujin. We got to Mokujin last.
Yes. There's no way I could teach you Mokujin until you've seen every character.
Yeah.
And you really don't know who you've got. Sometimes you get a hint. Like he'll start the fight holding a sword, or doing his weird capoeira dance.
Or you like do like the choo-choo thing that Gunjack does.
So there's some hints sometimes of who you've got. But other than that, it's just about trying buttons and seeing what works.
But you had to tell me who he was becoming.
Some characters have very defining stances, you know, Forest Law with his kind of like fake out arms.
Yeah.
And like when you've got a giant sword, it can obviously just be Yoshimitsu.
And it is true random in the sense that like you can get anyone picked out of a random list, but it also means you can get the same character multiple times. I kept getting Gunjack, Paul Phoenix, and Kuma, and I don't know why.
Well, who thankfully all have quite defining stances.
Mm-hmm. Whenever Gunjack came along, I made the joke that, oh yeah, Pinocchio said, nah, fuck that real boy shit, I'm going straight to Cyborg.
To explain Mokujin, when Ogre appeared, Mokujin activated. Mokujin is an ancient training dummy used by Ogre. Ogre gave life to this weird robotic wood doll and taught it the ability to copy any fighter so it could challenge Ogre.
Right, okay, that's interesting.
So Mokujin is kind of powered by Ogre. Now that would imply this is the only game that Mokujin's been in, but he has appeared in other games.
Oh, that's good. I like Mokujin.
But his ending is one of the most bizarre in the game.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, because it takes place in the real world.
It's the real world! So, you know how we mentioned earlier on that Mokujin has a male and female form?
Yeah.
The female form is not him, it's his wife.
Yeah, you get this in his ending.
So, she's like constantly at him to do chores, right? Collecting water and stuff from the river or whatever. He does not get a break for 2 minutes. She's at him all the time. And he notices his two children play Tekken 3. And he picks up the controller and has a wee shot. And he plays himself fighting his wife, and he's having a great old time, bit of catharsis, and then there she is behind him, watching. She uppercuts him and launches him into the air. She is constantly beating him. She is an abuser.
And the weirdest part about it, right? In all the other cutscenes, it's kind of CGI, with the exception of Ling Xiaoyu having anime. His is the only cutscene that is real-world filmed, and they've CGI'd the characters into it.
That's why it looks so unsettling.
Because it's clearly a real forest they filmed in.
Yeah, it is. Didn't even think of that. So I assume that Mokujin won a wife and a family, but at what cost? A life of slavery and drudgery under the iron fist of a woman who hates him. And she probably hates the kids too, because she's a horrible person.
See, my theory being that Mokujin has the ability to copy anyone on Earth. He doesn't necessarily only copy good fighters. So, in this instance, he may have copied my dad.
Oh no!
And this is just some put upon wee da he's copied. His wife has now copied some absolute shrew of a wife, and this is just their copied form for the day.
Oh god, I've got this just... Mokujin was made as a punching bag. Here's another unsettling thing. He is a wooden man living in a forest. He is trapped in a world of flesh with a wooden Kathy Bates.
My question is, where did the kids come from? Did she birth wooden children?
Maybe they, grew a bit like trees.
Ogre has clearly created kid training dummies so he could practice beating up children.
Oh god, that is really horrifying.
Yeah, the concept of Mokujin in canon is just as horrifying as it probably is in your headcanon.
I just want him and the kids to get out of that abusive home.
So, all the characters we've talked about so far are all the characters who are in the arcade version. All the other characters we unlocked by beating the game over and over. These last two, you unlock through other means. The game has many modes. You've got arcade mode, that we've been using all this time for now, versus mode, team battle mode, survival mode, all these different modes. But the one that's most interesting to talk about is Tekken Force mode. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, where you've got a certain amount of time to complete the level, and you get more time every time you knock out an enemy.
Yeah.
You spend the entire game beating up Zaibatsu grunts, and then a main fighting character at the end of every level.
And you eat a bunch of chicken.
Yes, that's where the chicken comes into it.
Chicken.
There are 4 levels you need to beat, and each time you beat this, you'll get a key. You have to beat the game 3 times to get all the keys, and then when you beat it a 4th time, you unlock a hidden character. But who'd you do it with again?
Julia Chang, I think, because she's my favourite character.
When you beat this game 4 times, though, you unlock one final fight with this old man. And if you beat him, you unlock him. That explains how we then unlocked Dr.
Bosconovitch.
Age, unknown. Nationality, unknown. Maybe Russian, can't cite a source for this. Occupation, scientist. Fighting style, unknown. Hobby, experimentation. Likes, Yoshimitsu and working in his lab. Dislikes, failed experiments.
So he's unknown what age he is, even though he looks like he's in his 80s or 90s.
I think he's just like that age is just a number kind of people.
Yeah, don't ask a woman her age. Except Dr. Bosconovitch is a man, just to be clear. He is like a wee, decrepit looking old man with glasses, balding with tufts of hair at his sides.
Very kind of Albert Einstein looking.
Yeah, but he's always lying down, and he has to get up every time he wants to fight you.
Yeah, he has this weird thing where he can't stand up straight. He's too old.
So he keeps having to lie down and then get back up again, which does take quite a lot of strength in itself.
Or he fights really hunched over.
I don't think it works. It feels really uncanny and weird.
Yeah, this is his only canonical appearance in the Tekken franchise as a fighter.
As a fighter, yeah, that makes sense.
And it makes sense because he is the worst fucking fighter ever. Oh, I hate Bosconovitch. He's awful to use.
He's in very poor physical health. He is going to be the worst fighter.
I know, canonically it makes sense he's the worst fighter. It doesn't change the fact that he is the worst fighter.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. They shouldn't have put him in the roster. He's too old.
Oh, Heihachi's old.
Yeah, but that's because Heihachi's in peak physical health. He's one of these old people that does all sorts of cycling and yoga classes or whatever constantly trying to remain fit as a fiddle.
Yeah, so Bosconovitch here, he is just this old coffin dodger with barely any combos, barely any special moves, though he can do the Cossack dance for some reason.
Which makes me think he's Russian.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, Russian 101 comes with, like, every language class that you get, comes with Cossack dancing. That's just a fact of life, apparently.
Yeah, he does also share the same ending as Yoshimitsu.
Because they're in the same goal.
Yeah, they have the same goal of trying to get the blood.
Hold on a minute. You can win the game with Dr. Bosconovitch, despite him being one of the worst fighters in the world and riddled with arthritis and whatever else. He can barely, like, set up, and he managed to beat Ogre, the god of fighting.
Somehow, yes.
The miracle of science?
I'm guessing that ending is not canon.
Really? I never guessed that ending wasn't canon. It is a bit of a shame. Like, I think they wanted another unlockable. They didn't want to add Dr. Abel for some reason, even though he does look like the more able-bodied of the two of them.
No, there's nothing redeeming about Dr. Bosconovitch, apart from the fact that his nameplate, when you're on the menu, says Dr. B.
Doctorb.
Call 1-600 Doctorb. The B is for bargain.
It's also very unsettling, like, his victory thing, because he's lying down. He, like, kind of writhes about and cackles when he wins, which makes him seem a bit evil and monstrous when he's supposed to be one of the good guys.
Yeah, he's got a very tragic backstory.
Yeah, tragic backstory. Sorry, that was bad.
Oh, yeah. He's got, like, a dead daughter, and she does end up coming back in later games as another cyborg.
And another one.
Right.
But that's a whole story for another game. And for now, we're going to go on to the last character of the game. This one you unlock by beating Tekken Ball mode, where you play this kind of like combat beach volleyball mode.
Which is fine, but not that fun.
And when you unlock it, you unlock the tiny orange dinosaur called
Gun.
Age Unknown. Nationality Japanese. Occupation manga character and animal protector. Fighting style dragon self-defense. Hobby playing Tekken 3. Likes comic books, eating fish, and Namco.
Oh, God.
Dislikes predators.
Which is hilarious considering he has a stupid little T-Rex. There are very strange kooky characters in Tekken, but he's very, very out of place. He is a small orange T-Rex with a big long tail that kind of sticks up in the air, and you can hit people with it. Because he doesn't have much range, because he's a T-Rex, like, how he manages to punch is unknown. He's better at, like, tail attacks and kicks.
But he has also got boxing gloves.
That's for cosmetic purposes, that's not real.
Yeah, this 3 foot tall dinosaur thing is just so out of place, even in the world of Tekken.
Yeah, even in, like, we've had 2 bears, a man with a taxidermied leopard's head for a head, and whatever the fuck Ogre and True Ogre are supposed to be. But this guy is the most out of place.
You haven't even seen the boxing kangaroo from the last game.
That's an animal. That's like an animal that actually exists in the real world that isn't extinct. Gon looks like the character that was kicked out of Barney the Dinosaurs gang because he hates children.
Yeah, I can give you that. He's got this very big cartoony head.
I think it's the style of animation that it is very out of place. It was Gon from another game and they just added him in for shits and giggles.
You're not too far off. Not another game, but he actually is a manga character.
Right.
He is the very first guest character in the Tekken series.
Right, okay, tell me more.
It's all wordless, and it's all about the adventures of this little dinosaur as a protector of this timeless range that he lives in.
Right, okay.
I've read a few issues of it in preparation for this recording, and I can say that it's alright. Never really read this and went, yes, this character needs to be in Tekken 3, but clearly someone did.
Someone thought it would be cute to add him in.
So he is a guest character.
Right. How often do they pull this trick with the guest characters?
It happens every now and then. Tekken 7 has Negan from The Walking Dead and Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Oh, and Tekken 7 has Akuma from Street Fighter. In fact, he's quite vital for the plot, actually.
Who's Akuma again? he's not appeared in Street Fighter 2.
No, he wouldn't have appeared in Street Fighter 2, even though he canonically won Street Fighter 2, but that's a whole other thing.
What? Excuse me?
I told you in that episode that the guy who canonically won Street Fighter 2 is not even the character who was in the game we played.
So, you said that you cheesed the game with him pretty easily, and I think you're right.
On the easiest difficulty, yes. In tournament play, he's fucking useless.
Yeah, because, like, look at him. Like, he's so pathetic looking. Like, he's got, like, quite good moves and a variety of ways to hit you with his tail and everything like that.
And he farts on his opponents.
I'm surprised Ogre didn't have that ability. But I don't know why I don't like the sight of him. I know it's irrational, right? Like, you know, he's probably a nice little dinosaur, actually. I've got this irrational reaction to him that I just hate him. I hate that stupid little dinosaur. And I don't know why.
Well, good thing is you'll never see him again outside of the Tekken 3.
His ending is also very, very weird.
Yeah, it's got this very interesting element where it loops endlessly.
It's a time loop. Is he dead? Is he in the afterlife?
No.
Did Heihachi grant him that wish of being in a time loop?
It's just him living his best life.
In a time loop?
Wake up, kick ass, rinse, repeat.
Forever.
Yes.
Until the end of time.
Exactly.
Until the heat death of the universe. He will constantly be falling into the sea, spat out by a whale, and stealing a fish, being yeeted off cliffs forever.
He is the only thing in this universe that will outlive Heihachi. And you have seen everything that Tekken 3 has to offer.
Yes, I have.
You have become the real king, or should I say, queen, of the Iron Fist Tournament 3.
I became the king of the Iron Fist several times.
Game over.
Now, taking everything you've seen into account, who do you think was the canonical winner of the third Tekken tournament?
Oh, it's probably Jin, because he's the main character. He's the Ryu.
Do you think Jin's the one who beat Ogre?
Yeah.
Would I then blow your mind to tell you that the man who canonically is in Tekken 4 and everything beat Ogre was Paul Phoenix?
What?
Paul Phoenix canonically defeated Ogre and finished the Tekken 3 tournament undefeated.
He got a speeding ticket! I wanted to see him win! How?
It does come with a caveat.
The speeding ticket, but go on.
I said he beat Ogre, not True Ogre.
What?
Paul Phoenix knocked the shit out of Ogre and walked away thinking he'd won the Tekken 3. Ogre then gets the amulet of Heihachi, turns into True Ogre, and fought Jin, and Jin won.
This does not come up in the game at all.
It comes up in Tekken 4.
Yeah, but that's Tekken 4. I've not played Tekken 4.
Yeah, but canonically, Paul Phoenix beat Ogre. Such a bizarre ending, but that is the official ending of this game.
That didn't happen. That didn't fucking happen. I know there are limitations in the game ending, right? But so much of the story of this fucking game happens off screen. I hate that. He got a speeding ticket. He did not win any tournament. Is that the prize of the tournament? A fucking speeding ticket? Canonically, that's the fucking prize of the fucking tournament. Sandro!
Think of it this
What
way.
have you done?
Think of it this way, right?
Right.
He defeated Ogre and walked away champion and gunned down the road in his motorbike. He gets that ticket and he thinks, oh, well, doesn't matter, I got a speeding ticket. I'm now the king of the Iron Fist. I'm going to get all that money. I'll pay this ticket off, fine. He then gets home and realizes, oh shit, I didn't actually win the Tekken 3 tournament. And he gets very goddamn bitter.
Sandro, you're lying to me.
That is the official ending of this game.
You're lying to me. That didn't happen.
I can show you the opening of Tekken 4 where they talk about him winning.
But that's not how it works. Sandro, I'm so angry. I'm so fucking angry, Sandro. What the fuck is that shit? Why didn't we get anything with Paul Phoenix walking off?
That is the official ending. It's not in the game, but it's the official ending. I'll remind you, the Street Fighter 2's official ending involved a character who wasn't in Street Fighter 2.
That's also bullshit. Like, that is also bullshit. I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, Street Fighter's doing that was fine. Because that was also not great. That's probably worse.
So right now it falls onto Mortal Kombat for having the most acceptable ending. Liu Kang won the tournament.
My canonical ending is Raiden winning and the whole world ending because him and his god friends felt like it.
Paul Phoenix wins. Us!
Now with that gargantuan roster complete, what is your tier list for the characters of this game?
So in the failed tier, which are mostly characters I failed the game with, Xiaoyu is in the F tier.
Well, that's a bad one.
It's a bad take. It's not her, it's me. I just couldn't play as her.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Vitskiptovich, can't mind his name. Writhe around the floor man. Really not a good fighter. Shouldn't have been in the roster. It wasn't fair of them to put him in that roster, that wee sweet old man. And then finally in the F tier is Tiger. Now, I wanted to put Tiger in a higher tier, but then I thought to myself, wait, why is he here? He's literally just like Eddy Gordo, but disco.
Someone thought it was funny to have a disco dancer be Eddy Gordo.
They didn't have the decency to give him, like, proper disco fighting moves.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the gall to just go all in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sorry, Tiger. Into the F tier you go. The D tier, I have named Who Are You Again on the tier maker. First of all is Mokujin.
Okay, that's fair.
Really, I like him a lot as a character. I have a lot of pathos for him, but because he's quite hard to play as, I don't know what his fighting style is at any given moment. Sadly, he's going to have to go into the D tier.
Okay, that makes sense.
After that is True Ogre.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to beat the game with him, but it is just so easy to sidestep the fire-breathing attack. And it's a really slow move as well. So yeah. Anna's in the D tier because when I tried to tier list, there were a few people who I completely forgot what they were like to play as.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't had the sense to put them in a tier before and assign them a letter. I had to go back and play some of it again. And I started with her. And I didn't have fun playing as her.
We didn't do any favours by having you play Anna right after playing Nina when they have quite a similar moveset.
Yeah, they've not got a very distinct moveset. So she was probably fine to play as, but I had a lot of people in the C tier, and I had to distribute it a little bit more evenly, so she's coded as being a bit of a slut, so, you know, she's probably quite happy to get the D. Last in the D tier is Gon, stupid dinosaur.
How the hell did he make the D tier, not the F tier? Because he's awful.
See, I didn't play him in any higher difficulty level. I managed to blitz my way through easy mode with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of quite fun tail moves, and it's mildly amusing watching the little bastard try and punch things. I probably would have put him in the C tier, actually. But the problem is that I just hate looking at him.
Really?
I don't know why. It's an irrational hatred, but it just strikes me at the very soul. You know how, like, with Kirby, he was, like, so cute. He could do nothing wrong. Gon is the opposite effect. He's probably done nothing wrong, but he has done something wrong.
He has that face of original sin.
Yeah, let's move on. I'm trying to rationalise my feelings for that dinosaur, and it's just not happening.
The list was thrown out the minute you put Ling Xiaoyu in the F tier, so it's just entirely your opinion. No one's going to challenge you for it.
Okay, so the C tier is, fine enough. That's what it's called in my tier maker list. First there is Yoshimitsu.
Oh, now you made an enemy. C tier for Yoshimitsu?
Just because I didn't have quite as good an experience playing as him as you did.
Right, fine.
Some of the moves that he's got, like the mad bouncing cross-legged with a sword, is quite slow and leaves him vulnerable to attack. And also, the thing where he balances in his sword and does like an attack, that's really slow as well. Like, they can just trip him up and he falls in his arse and it's all for nothing. Apart from that, he's pretty good, but I was also getting more and more tired of the game at that point. I'm the problem, it's me. Sorry. You're absolutely glowering at me, like the absolute look of contempt.
You're entitled to your own stupid opinion.
Next in the C tier is Heihachi.
Okay. Jesus. Oh, you're doing it to all my lads here. What's going on?
Yeah, Heihachi's in the C tier. Very punch heavy and quite strong, but not quite as fast as I'd like.
Okay.
That comes with age. Bryan Fury is fine. His ending is very funny though, which is kind of what raised him above the Who Are You Again tier.
Okay.
Ogre.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly good. You know, if you know what to do with him, he's a pretty good fighter. But the easy AI does not know what to do with him.
Absolutely not. No.
So I was quite surprised he was actually quite good to play as. He is an F tier boss and villain, but he is a C tier fighter.
That's fair.
Law, fine to play as, yeah. I like his flippy attacks, they're quite good. Jin, because he's an all-round good person to play as, a bit like Ryu from Street Fighter, but I think what lets him down is the fact he has no personality. If he was less good to play as, he would be in the Who Are You Again tier.
Okay.
So in the B tier, the We Had Fun tier, Wulong,
Mm-hmm.
he has a similar moveset to Ling Xiaoyu, but more range.
He's definitely a lot more flexible, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that does come with being tall.
And also being Jackie Chan's counterpart.
Yes. So he was quite fun to play as, quite Chun-Li-esque. Paul Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because of, like, the punches.
I'm surprised his ending didn't bump him down to a C.
Honestly, I was really tempted to bump him down a couple of tiers for that ending, but I didn't want to give too much of a bad faith type thing. I did have fun.
Okay, fair enough.
I just wish he got a better ending. Then it's Eddy Gordo.
Mm-hmm.
I started off with him, had a lot of fun, good person to start off with, plenty of good zippy moves that were quite hard hitting, pretty good to play as. We had fun. King as well.
Ooh, that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's surprising considering how, like, nightmarish and cursed he looks. The wrestling moves really do make it for me.
Yeah, as someone who is into wrestling, I can't help but mark out.
And it adds a good bit of variety to the roster.
Mm-hmm.
In the A tier is the Yes, I Like You. The B tier was full of quite kind of relatively nondescript, not particularly distinctive characters. Nothing that left a lasting impression, whereas the A tier is. Starting off with Kuma.
Just Kuma.
Yeah, just Kuma.
Right, okay.
I like his moves. He is a likeable bear. He's a good bear boy.
Okay.
He's got some hard-hitting moves and is surprisingly fast for his size.
Mm-hmm.
A bit like Honda from Street Fighter, but a bear.
Okay.
Hwoarang.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
Hwoarang is, like, very close to the S tier, to be honest. But I'm keeping him in the A tier for now. Outside of, like, strong, dashing, fighty man, I don't know who he is.
Okay, fair enough. He doesn't have the best personality in his fighting.
I think, like, his fighting style's pretty good. I like how kicky he is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more just as a character.
Okay.
Gunjack.
Yeah.
He is quite slow. You'd think that with my gameplay I wouldn't like him. But his attacks are pretty good, and I was surprised that he's not quite as slow as I thought.
Yeah, I think there's something about this game where power does trump speed a little bit.
Yeah?
It's why characters like Kuma and Gunjack are ranked so highly for you, because they're some of the strongest characters in the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Then, last in the A tier is Nina.
Oh, okay.
I had fun with her. She was one of the first characters I played, and I had fun with her. Her and Anna should be on the same tier. You know, Anna is actually a more distinctive character than Nina, but I had more fun playing as Nina. I have a better memory of her than I do with Anna.
Okay. So then who's left for your S tier?
My S tier is Julia,
Okay, yeah.
who's my absolute favourite.
Mm-hmm.
Has this just perfect balance of, like, power and speed and also, like, looking cool. Her backstory's the best one. One problem that I had with Tekken 3 was that all the endings were really open-ended and didn't do anything. Her ending did. It was just really nice and closed off. She's rescued her mother. They're going back home. It's a happy ending. Things are resolved. So that goes a long way. But overall, I just really, really like playing as her. She's my best girl.
Okay.
And my other best girl is Panda.
Okay. So Kuma made A and Panda made S.
Yes.
What makes Panda better?
Well, Panda has Kuma's movesets and is more charming.
Well, you'd rather be with the panda than you would the bear.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, I just like Panda. I like her a fair bit.
Okay.
I mean, it's the best girls tier.
Yeah,
You know,
it
no
is.
boys allowed in the best girls tier. Yeah, there's only so much bullshit I can stand in one day. Let's go on to the aftermath.
Okay. After that successful first day, where Tekken 3 sold 1 million copies, It went on to sell 8.3 million copies over its lifetime.
Right.
This put Tekken 3 as the best-selling fighting game as per system sales at the time that they set that record. A crown it held until the release of Smash Bros. Brawl 10 years later.
Ah, yes, my beloved.
The Tekken series did sadly rest on those laurels for a while. They followed up Tekken 3 with the upgrade in a compilation game called Tekken Tag Tournament that would be a launch title for the PlayStation 2. It was mostly built on the same engine as Tekken 3, but now had this new tag mechanic added in.
Tag mechanic?
Yeah, you can press the select button and you can just change to another fighter.
Oh, like a tag team?
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like what they did with Mario Kart Double Dash.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Except it's still the one-on-one fighter, you just switch it out.
Yeah.
Like in a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
A proper sequel wouldn't come until Tekken 4, a game which is widely considered to be the worst Tekken game.
Right.
It was more experimental and tried to mess about with things like timings of moves, hitboxes, and overall game feel that just didn't gel well with a lot of veterans.
Ah, right, okay.
It's not exactly what I would call a bad game, it's just in a series of games that hit well, it's probably the one that did worst.
Didn't quite hit the hardest.
Yet since then, though, the Tekken series has been focusing more on the online model, especially with the second version they did of Tekken 5, which included online play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done well with every release. Special mention goes to Tekken 7, which sold 10 million copies, is the best-selling Tekken game ever. At the time of this episode's airing, we're about to see the release of Tekken 8, which is due out in a few months' time. So don't expect me to play it until they do a complete edition a few years from now.
Yeah, when they actually finish the game.
Yeah.
That is kind of par for the course with a lot of modern games, though.
Sadly so, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about the plot of Tekken 3, I am willing to recommend the Netflix miniseries Tekken Bloodlines, which is a CGI anime series retelling the plot of Tekken 3 from the death of Jun to Heihachi betraying Jin. It's a decent watch, well-told story, though let down by folding in characters from Tekkens 4 to 7 for no reason.
Right, okay. So it wouldn't tell the story of Tekken 3 better than Tekken 3 because it folds in a bunch of characters that I don't know.
Well, characters actually talk, so it is probably doing better than Tekken 3's doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Plus, there's this weird lighting effect that our editor Mark pointed out to me that I now unfortunately cannot unsee when I watch it.
Right.
If you want to get a bit more of Tekken, though, I would recommend you go in with low expectations.
Yeah.
You lose. Continue.
Now, this is normally where we do your final analysis, but you are drawing a bit of a blank with this one. So I gave you a bit of a challenge instead. You didn't know a lot of these things about the lore until I've told you while doing this follow-up part of our episode.
A lot of the plot that you've heard in this episode, I did not know going in to play this game, and even after finishing playing this game.
So instead, what I invited you to do was to write down your understanding of the lore based on what you've seen in game, what you had understood from the endings you watched, and me letting slip a few things like how Jin and Heihachi were grandfather and grandson.
Right.
So, with all that said, what is your understanding of the plot of Tekken?
So, the King of the Iron Fist tournament was set up by Heihachi and Ogre just for shits and giggles. I don't know why they set it up. I did kind of assume that they probably were going out or should have been going out. You know, and that sort of, oh yeah, they were just good friends. They wanted to watch their enemies and the poor struggle for a prize of their choice.
Okay.
So some people wanted, like, the money to go on a nice holiday or buy a motorbike or something. Some people wanted, like, answers for lore things, like me. Some people wanted revenge, but then some people, like Yoshimitsu and Dr. Lie Down Man, wanted Ogre's blood for science reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they wanted Ogre's blood to, you know, how does he turn from Ogre to true Ogre? And that might lead to Yoshimitsu being able to go back to his home planet.
Do you assume he was an alien even back then?
I assumed he was an alien, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Jin is a demon or a werebat, and also Heihachi's grandson. He was bitten or scratched by something ominous in the opening cutscene.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it was like red eyes and stuff, and it does not appear at all for the rest of the game.
Jen, that was true Ogre.
Was that true, Ogre?
Yeah.
God, I'm so face blind. So, okay, right. Jin and Hwoarang are rivals, but I don't know how they're rivals. Like, they went to the same school or something, or the same karate class. They were always at odds with each other.
What made you think they were rivals?
I don't know. I think the dynamic that they had in Hwoarang's cutscene, you know, instead of thanking Hwoarang for saving his life, he jumps out a window. I don't know. I think a friend or a good person would thank someone for saving their life. I do not know what Jin's alignment is.
Okay.
I think that's probably the point, though. Like, there aren't really goodies and baddies in Tekken. It's not obvious.
Oh, no, he is lawful good through and through.
Despite being a weird werebat thing. And a demon boy.
With the exception of Tekken 6, which I cannot get into, he is mostly the series goodie.
Right, okay. Because he does have that, like, coded, but I just didn't get it looking at him.
There's a very weird thing that all fighting games have, where the main character has a dark form. The Street Fighter series has Evil Ryu. The Mortal Kombat series has Liu Kang with the Otherworld energy through him, I can't remember the name of. And then you have the Smash Brothers series with Dr. Mario, the most evil of Mario forms.
Yeah, he's overcharging for the insulin. So I also thought that Eddy Gordo was a spy.
Okay.
So, like, Brazilian James Bond.
Right.
Because in his cutscene, he's went into a big house and beat people up for information. And then he wins, you know, he sits at a nice desk with photos of Jin and Heihachi on it.
Yes.
So I assumed that he was wanting information and answers, which is why I assumed he was a spy.
Actually, that's not Jin. That is Kazuya.
They look so alike.
I know.
There's a familial resemblance.
No, I understand. I was just making that clear for you.
It wasn't clear looking at it. He and Tiger are colleagues, like, because they share the same moveset. So Tiger is only there because Eddy is.
Okay.
Eddy's the spy who does all the hard work, and Tiger's just there, like, living it up, the lavish lifestyle, you know, playing the disco 007 whilst not actually doing any actual police work. Because it's never said who he is or why he's even there.
Okay.
So, Dr. Bosconovitch cloned Nina from Anna's DNA, or they're clones of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Anna killed their father, or the person they thought was their father. That flashback in the graveside happened so quickly, I don't know who anyone was.
I understand that one, but no, you're not.
If you've got a clone, you probably, you know, if you're going to raise them, you'd raise them as sisters, right? That would make sense.
Yeah, if you're a clone, write in and tell us.
And I know I said this earlier, but I refuse to believe otherwise. Heihachi owns a theme park. He owns Heihachi Land, and it's near the Ogre ruins in Mexico that appears in the opening cutscene. And that's why he has it as a prize to give to Xiaoyu. Tekken 4 is a theme park simulator where you turn Heihachi Land into Xiaoyu Land. And Panda can put her engineering degree to use. Because Panda is a genius bear who ends up going to university to study a degree in engineering or something. That was my headcanon for what Tekken 4 was. My version of Tekken 4 might have been a better idea.
It can't be any stupider than what they did.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they did. So that'll be one to talk about over dinner.
Let's just say the volcanoes aren't as effective as Heihachi thought.
No, fuck off. He came back! Kazuya came out of the volcano. He managed to survive the volcano.
Again, it's a whole thing. I can't explain it to you right now.
I really want to fucking know. It's complete convoluted nonsense where people can survive great heights in volcanoes despite Heihachi's best efforts. So, I didn't know that there was an amulet involved in Heihachi being lifted up by the neck by Ogre. I didn't know there was an amulet there at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, it looked like Ogre was like getting, actually grabbing him by the neck and then it would white out. So either he ate Heihachi, or they had like a really long snog, true love's first kiss. Ogre becoming true Ogre after locking lips with Heihachi, and for some reason they couldn't be bothered animating the kissing. It was all implied.
Yeah.
Or like, I think there were some points where I joked that like he vored Heihachi.
Oh, no, okay, taking that too far.
Yeah, that is a bit far. I think
This isn't Kirby. We're not getting into war things again.
Yeah. The cheeky snog probably is the one I'll stand by.
Okay.
Because you can survive being kissed. No matter how bad the kiss is, you can still survive it. But you wouldn't survive, like, being eaten.
Although he actually fucking would.
Yeah, knowing this game, someone managed to survive being thrown into a volcano. Anything's possible.
Very true.
I also thought that Ogre's DNA and Heihachi's DNA caused Ogre to become true Ogre.
Okay.
Because, again, the only thing that changed was the lips-on-lips contact, between Ogre and Heihachi.
He just needs the love of a true prince.
Yes, and Heihachi has definitely got the money for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my canonical who won the tournament, I assumed it was Jin, because Jin was the main character.
That's a fair assumption, yeah.
Yeah, I have a horrible feeling that Mokujin's ending might have been canon, because it's set in the real world.
No, I'm going with the theory that in the world of Tekken, the Tekken games exist in the same way that boxing games exist, with real-world boxers.
Yeah, I suppose.
In your heart of hearts, who do you want to have won the tournament?
Who I would have wanted to have won the tournament was Julia.
Do you want her to recover the amulet and have that touching scene with her mother and then look at nature and, white out?
Yeah.
All right.
Because like a lot of the other ending scenes are just rubbish. It's like, oh, you didn't win anything good. You got nothing out of this tournament.
Whereas Julia won her mother's love.
Yeah.
The best prize of all.
Yeah.
Well, no less ridiculous than Paul sort of winning.
Canonically, I think Tiger won.
Okay. And what was his prize then for winning?
Getting his requests all night at the discotheque.
What, so his prize was just that he brought back disco?
Yeah. He brought back disco, and that's why the charts are the way they are.
Time up. Draw.
Of course, how can we talk about Tekken without taking the opinion of the fighting game community in the form of listener submissions? I ran this question on both Twitter and Reddit. Our friend Keezy's on Twitter, creator of Savage Princess on the ZX Spectrum, and is soon to be dropping Savage Princess 2, available from bitmatsoft.co.uk for all you retro gaming lovers. I was the daddy at Tekken 3. It was the only beat-em-up I could play. Forest Law was my main. I had a tourney against my friend to see who would make the next cup of tea each time, and I won 38-0. My stick on forums back then was, you fought the law and the law won. Doubt it'd be that good these days.
Oh, you never know.
Fun little story there. Again, it's not uncommon. I've heard people do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You put something on the line on a one-on-one match and have a bit of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very quick game to have a quick head-to-head match.
Is that something you did with your roommates?
Not really, no. We would just really have fights for bragging rights. When I was young, I was too young to really do that stuff. But as I got older, the person who I probably have those nights with the most was our editor, Mark.
Yeah.
But he got way too good at Tekken 5 for me to be anywhere near competitive with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was killer with Lily.
Yeah, I've not come across her yet.
No, not yet, no. There's some of the ones on Reddit were quite to the point. Killbash20 Sheehan just said Eddie was bullshit.
Eddie was bullshit.
Yes. Which, fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
You didn't play him versus. When he's in the game, he's quite manageable because the game engine will mix in punches and grabs. Ever playing someone who's button mashing against Eddie, it is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, not quite as bullshit as Honorio with playing Law and the flips.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if that's what Keezy's was doing.
Yeah.
RDG the Great wrote in with, I only have vague memories at this point since I was just a child when I played it. I remember doing Paul's Unblockable around start, and AI almost always get hit by it. I think I once cried because my neighbour beat me using Yoshimitsu's suicide. Yoshimitsu's got this move where he stabs himself in the chest called the Harikari.
Right.
And after you do it, he can spin in place, but it does more damage. But to do it, you have to take some damage yourself.
Yeah, I remember you were trying to double check the game over noise earlier, and one of the quickest ways you did it was with that move.
Yeah, it's a very useless move, so listening to it would be very embarrassing.
Yeah. I don't know why they added that. That does seem a bit silly.
I have never worked out what the move is for, but that is the only use I've ever heard to humiliate your opponent.
Yeah. I wonder how many people decided to do that when they were playing easy mode. Having done a lot of fights on hard mode, just deciding like, I'm going to take out my frustrations, and the easy AI, they cannot stop me.
You don't have to humiliate the easy AI, it humiliates itself.
That is actually true. Yeah, I mean, if even I, probably the worst video game players I know, can beat the easy mode, anyone can.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Deep Senpai wrote in with, the proclaimed mother of all fighting games. Tekken 3 was truly ahead of its time. The massive graphical leap it made from Tekken 2 was wild and even today holds up very well. Tekken 3 took a risk with benching Kazuya, but introduced longtime favourite Jin Kazama and kicked off this new generation of the Devil Gene action alongside the staples of Eddy Gordo, Hwoarang, Bryan, and Ling Xiaoyu.
Jin got devil jeans, boots with the fur, the whole club looking at him.
It felt great to play, great to watch, hits felt impactful, damage was off the charts. Just an overall good time with friends. And you could have a blast alone as well with the other content the game had. Did I mention the soundtrack? Goated.
Soundtrack is really good. There's a bunch of songs I actually listen to just on the bus. So, yeah, highly agree with that one.
Mechanics-wise, they cleaned up the jank from Tekken 2, and sidesteps were introduced. The game was kind of broken in some aspects, e.g. running threes on block essentially being launchers, but it didn't matter, it was great.
I mean, every really great game does have its flaws. Like, even with The Sims 2, I know that there are some gaps in there. I know that a lot of them have been replaced by mods, which you can download at any time. But no game is perfect.
Don't think any game is perfect, but there's the games that just get everything right. I think that story goes a long way to say what Tekken 3 got right.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Now, your man here does recommend the really good respective video from Blatted Salami if you want to get more about the impact of the game itself. But I think that gives you a good example of just how everything's on form with this. The music, the mechanics, the graphics for the time. There's no bad edge to this game.
I mean, on the graphics, like, sorry to derail it a little bit, but I feel I should probably say, with The Sims 2, for example, I think their graphics look really good. I think they look great and no changes needed. But there's a lot of people, big fans of The Sims 2 who make YouTube videos about it, use, like, different, like, more up-to-date graphics. And I think that they don't quite have the same charm. And I'm wondering whether, your man writing in feels the same about the Tekken 3 graphics.
I think the easiest comparison you probably have for that is to see the graphics for Tekken Tag Tournament. That game is built on the same engine, but it's made for the PS2. So it is very much the same gameplay, mostly, with better graphics.
Ah, right. So it was just too good for the PS1.
Maybe. I mean, by this point, we are pushing up to the limits of what the PS1 can do.
Yeah. There's plenty the PS1 can do, but just not quite that. It was like Tekken 3 was probably a bit too ambitious for the PlayStation 1. It's not to say that the game doesn't work. It does work really well. I'm just talking graphically. Graphically,
yeah, I'll give you that.
And really, like, the in-game graphics are great. They look okay. It's the cutscenes that look really cursed. But Final Fantasy VII has that same problem, where, like, they could only do so much with FMV-type cutscenes.
I mean, I think we have to think of 3D graphics at this point. You kind of have to look at what the Pixar movies were like. That's what's happening at the top end. They are far from that end.
Exactly, yeah.
This is ravioli printed 240p potato quality.
Yeah.
They did the best they could.
Oh, absolutely. And these are talented artists who are working with the limitations that they have.
100%, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we enter the
final round
and discuss the 3 gens.
the Tekken 3 gens, if you will.
For last gen,
Uh-huh.
did the game live up to your expectations? And do you feel it holds up as a classic?
I totally get why this game is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
The fighting controls and moves are really fun and satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a lot out of button mashing, which is great for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably pick a character you just like the moves of and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
A few of our write-ins said something similar.
100%, yeah. You're not supposed to learn the entire roster. At best, I'd probably say you have to learn about 8 fighters, so you could put up a team battle.
Yeah, like the way we play games in the podcast is, we want to get as much out of the game as possible in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of do end up doing things the wrong way.
I would 100% agree. I would say, though, to complete this game, you do have to beat the game with every character.
Yeah. So on normal circumstances, I may have stuck with 1 or 2 characters. The cutscenes are zany and make you laugh and say, what the fuck? Because we've spent at least a third of this episode doing that.
Yep.
The lore doesn't exactly translate onto the gameplay, though, or cutscenes.
Not at this stage, no.
There's only so much they can do, and you get across like a vague idea of their character and what they're about by how they move, and, a little bit from like cutscenes, but it does feel like they just put something in and explain it all after the fact.
That is 100% fair.
Which annoys me. From what I've seen, the lore does feel as structured as a plate of spaghetti. I feel like they've prioritised the gameplay to the point where the game story feels a bit incomprehensible.
Oh yeah, they made all the characters, they made all their moves, they made all their abilities, and then said, how do we write them into the lore?
Why are they here? We've just decided that later, because, maybe that's not why people are playing, and it's maybe me hoping for something a tiny bit more coherent.
With a game like Tekken, what matters first is the characters are fun to play.
Which they do succeed at.
After that, you can then decide the lore.
Yeah, I just really wish a lot of it translated into Tekken 3, because I think they dropped the ball on that one.
For current gen, what are your highlights of the game? And is there anything with the game which didn't work for you?
So the fighting styles of my favourite characters were definitely up there. Hwoarang's fighting style, lots of kicks, kicking Heihachi to death, absolutely highlight for me. 10 out of 10, kicking an old man to death.
Mm-hmm.
The cutscenes are really goofy and they are a laugh, as much as I do kind of wish things did link up a little bit more. There is something charming about it. It's got a carefree energy and doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of fighting games that I've come across that do take themselves seriously, and Tekken is not one of them. And I think that's an advantage.
What fighting game does?
I don't know, I feel like they don't have the same goofiness as Tekken. Like, we're going to have gone the dinosaur in our fighting game. Why? Why not?
I think Tekken does exist somewhere in the spectrum between the seriousness of Street Fighter and the stupidness of Mortal Kombat. It's very much right in the middle of that.
I think Tekken is like zany, eccentric, kind of goofy. We're just going to throw a bunch of random action figures all together and, hey, look, there's this thing. Oh, and then this happens. Like playing with like a little kid type thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Mortal Kombat is the big boys' treehouse and their cool gang. They're having fun, but they do kind of take the role play seriously.
Yeah. Tekken's nonsense is fun and goofy, whereas Mortal Kombat's nonsense is weird and scary.
What doesn't work for me is there was a lot of cool story in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and none of it was signposted.
Absolutely not, no. But back in that era, you're supposed to read the instruction manual.
Yeah, which is, I don't play video games to read.
I know. And what's about this game? That only works for the starting characters. All the characters you unlock are not in the instruction manual.
Yeah. So who knows why Anna Williams was there in the first place. The 8 opponents are also picked at random, so you are really not to know which character won each part of the tournament. We don't know what one's canon by looking at it. I had to watch a YouTube video saying that this is what actually happened. I'm not to know that. The only consistent structure in each arcade mode playthrough is Heihachi fight, Ogre eats Heihachi or steals the amulet or whatever, fight with Ogre, fight with true Ogre, ending cutscene. Everything else is pretty much random.
Mm-hmm. Especially because there's supposed to be some lore things, which you don't see in this game, but will be referenced in Tekken 4.
I also don't understand the direct VHS Disney sequel decision. The old, oh yes, this descendant of, or student of, it's not the main characters that are in this game, it's some random person who is somehow related to one of the original main characters. And the reason why is just Ogre killed them all. I remember you saying it was an effort to, wipe the slate clean and have a new fighting roster. And it's good to have new characters in your roster of fighting characters. I think that's a good thing. But it required more explanation for me as to why these people were there. That's something that I think is kind of important.
It does, and the problem is that every character who's been taken out of the franchise will come back either as themselves or in the guise of another student. Like, there's no character who was removed from Tekken 2 who isn't represented by about Tekken 5 in some form. Jin Kazama has a long-distant niece who has her fight style. Kazuya is not dead. It's one of the things in fighting games. Everyone's fight style wants to be represented.
Yes.
You can't remove someone's fight style and then just not have anything in its place. You need something to represent that style.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think they've wasted an opportunity not having Ogre do anything to these characters. As stated, instead of having all the scary things Ogre does happen off screen, have it happen on screen in the opening cutscene. You've got characters that being basically, oh my god, Ogre's killed them. This guy is really scary. So when you get to the arcade mode and you get him at the end, it feels a bit more scary.
Mm-hmm.
I think they missed a trick with that. I imagine there was a bit of crunch to it, and I'm looking back on it with hindsight. But that's a criticism I do have of the game, and I think it's a real shame. Because Ogre is a very boring villain as a result.
And finally, for next gen, would you recommend it to a newcomer? And are you interested in other games in the franchise?
Yeah. One way that I gauge whether or not I should recommend a game to a newcomer is, could I introduce this to my stepdad? Would he be able to pick this up easily? And would he enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
With my mum, there's a similar thing, but the barrier for entry is a lot higher for her than it is for my stepdad. He really liked Grand Theft Auto 5, so does like a little bit of violence, a little bit of fighting, so I've still to introduce him to Doom. I might possibly recommend him Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat once he's got his thumbs for fighting games, but Tekken 3 would be the first thing I'd introduce to him.
Understandable.
Because you don't have to master like a whole bunch of different button combinations. You can just button mash and find them for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tekken is by far the most accessible out of the three fighting games we've covered.
I would agree. It was where I would love to have started you on fighting games. I just felt we had to pay some respects to the originals.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, because we are starting with a lot of earlier games that got the ball rolling for other game genres we'll be covering later on.
You're going to find this quite a lot, that a lot of the mechanics are going to get easier the longer this podcast goes in.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, because we're moving away from the era of the arcade coin eaters.
Yeah, where they're making a game difficult on purpose so they can get more money out of the children playing at the arcades.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd really like to do other Tekken games just to see where the crazy train goes.
Definitely recommend that you try Tekken 7.
Right.
That's on my PlayStation downstairs. It's already installed.
When I start playing it and have an idea of what I think of it, I'll report back. So stay tuned for that one.
We also have Tekken 8 coming out in a few months' time.
Ooh.
But like I said, I probably won't get my hands on it until they stop making it.
Right, why's that?
Because they're going to be doing DLC for the next 4 years.
Right. So basically I've got plenty of time to play Tekken 7 before I get started on Tekken 8.
Oh, absolutely.
As much as I've shown mixed responses so far, I want to emphasise that I really like this silly little game.
Okay, final question. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken.
Tekken.
Oh, I knew this. I said at the start of the episode this might be your favourite fighting game. I knew it would just have the right element of button mashing to be more approachable than the other two.
Yes. Yeah.
Tekken wins.
Time to discuss our next game. And I'll be honest, our next game was supposed to be our Halloween special. But due to some complications over the summer, we're most likely going to miss the October 31st window.
Yeah. Sorry.
So instead, let's celebrate a different occasion from around the same time of year, our second birthday of the podcast.
Yay!
Thankfully, our next game works as both a Halloween game and a chance for us to look back at our very first episode on Super Mario Bros. 3 by covering a game I suggested covering way back in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, pack your toothbrush and your Hoover, because we're spending the night in Luigi's Mansion. I invite the spirits of the listeners out there to come and speak to us through the powers of seance, a la Twitter or Reddit, and tell us your opinion on Luigi's Mansion. Send your tweets to @StarterQuest, your Facebook messages to StarterQuest, or your Mastodon messages to @StarterQuest. I will get the Twitter and Facebook ones, but you're not getting the Mastodon ones. I don't check it enough. I am also on Threads now. Starter Quest Pod. If I get more contact on that, I might look at that one too.
Yeah, also, if Twitter collapses and burns into flames, I think you'd use Threads a bit more.
Otherwise, thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Please take the chance to land the punch of your review on your podcast platform of choice. Always helps us with visibility. Or check us out on any of the social media that I've just mentioned.
I also like to think of myself as a writer. I have a writer's website, genhugheswriter.com. It has a pretty much complete list of everywhere I've been published. Short stories, poems, flash fictions, that sort of thing. And you can also find out a bunch about my other projects that I've got on the go through my social media. Jen Hughes Writing on Facebook, Jen Hughes Writing on Instagram, might be Jen Hughes Writing on Mastodon, possibly. Feel free to try and look me up. I still don't know how that website works, to be honest. But yeah, you can find me on the other two. If you want to send your stories into that as well, then the more.
A big thank you goes out to Evan Hackstock for this episode's theme, Get Ready for the Next Battle, available over at ocremix.org.
Thank you so much!
Until next time, we'll be sucking off dead guys all night long.
What?
It'll be a goodbye from me, Alessandro.
And a goodbye from me, Jen.
Quest completed.